dawned here today like it is, you and I have been inundated, whichever way the word goes, with people saying you must say something nice about Otago's weather today, surely. So for all those people, dozens of them so far, and the others to come, yes, it is a lovely day in Dunedin today. Yes, the conditions are good. Yes, it's a delight to be here, as it always is.
Good, I'm glad you cleared your chest. Okay, now, last night on Sports Week, you talked to me about the game, so I'm going to ask you now, who are going to be the major players in this match?
Well, actually, I sort of went along a bit with you last night, Grant. And
that's a change.
Yeah. Fox, I think, is going to be one of the key guys for New Zealand because he's going to have to make the decision about whether it's turned back into the forwards or spun out wide. And if we spin it out wide in these glorious Otago conditions, then we're going to see an exciting game. The Scots will not be running it through their backs. So they're going to be playing it tight. So I think the key guy for New Zealand is number 10.
You have a theory. That's right. You have a theory which you told me about 7 o'clock this morning, because we always wake up early on the morning of a test, that you think the Scots might be very hard to beat.
Well, in fact, I've just been thinking over the last couple of days that they're a very thorough team. They've got a guy there, Ian McGeechan, who's one of the most shrewd rugby brains in the world. He was the assistant coach here in 1987 in the World Cup. He's been here twice as a player with the, Scotland and the Lions. Since he's taken over the coaching of Scotland and the British Isles, he's been a winner. He won with the Lions in Australia last year. He won in the Grand Slam this year. He's been studying New Zealand rugby from afar through videotapes. He is prepared for this tour assiduously. And on the tour so far, he's shown the game at Gisborne with a sort of a mixed team of experienced and inexperienced players. They got through that one. They did the same at Wellington. They didn't lose. They struggled against Nelson Bays. They won. They put their test team out against Canterbury. They won. And the game midweek against Southland, in the last half, they threw the switches and put it out through the backs. I think that it looks like McGeechan has planned this beautifully all the way. And today, he's probably got something else up his sleeve. One of the key things could be Craig Chalmers. Craig Chalmers has come here with a great introduction, great reputation, but he's shown nothing in New Zealand. He's just been passing the ball on for other people to use. The second 5/8, as we call it, he's been doing the kicking, or Hastings at the back, or Armstrong. Chalmers has done nothing. What's Chalmers up to? Is he going to do something today? Have they saved him for this game? I think that the planning and the plotting behind the Scottish team is a bit of a worry, because we just don't quite know what they're up to, what they'll throw today.
So that really is a long-winded way of saying they could win.
Well, I'm sorry it was so long-winded, but yes, they could win. They could win today. And but who knows? With the All Blacks are a formidable lunch as well. And so it's going to be a great game, great contest.
Okay, once more, the weather.
Oh, the weather. The weather, yes, the weather is lovely in Dunedin. To all our friends down here, it's marvellous. Sky is blue. Balmy little breeze. We're ready for any chills that come in. But yes, it is a lovely day in Dunedin today for the test.
And while those are deep and meaningful and profound pearls of wisdom were coming from our two commentators, the All Blacks indulging in this ritual, which they always do before the start of a big match. The players from both teams out on the field, getting a feel of the ground, getting a feel of the atmosphere. A big day, of course, for Ian Jones, the lanky North Aucklander, playing in his first test match today. Had a successful tour of Wales last year, blooded on that tour, and now it's his opportunity to fill in the place, of course, left vacant by Murray Pearce. Craig Innes, who take his place on the reserves bench today, and alongside of him his good friend Walter Little, also making his test debut today. And there we can see members of the Scottish team as well, who felt very much at home here in Dunedin in the last couple of days. They've had a most enjoyable time, and they're quietly confident that today, as we said, they can put a break to that 85-year drought which has seen them, in fact, never managed to beat the All Blacks since they first played them way back in 1905. And I guess it would be most appropriate for that drought to be broken here at Carisbrook in this most Scottish of cities. So we'll be back with more from the build-up for today's first test match in just a moment, right after this break and this special message.
I'd just like to wish the All Blacks all the best and get stuck into those Scots, lads. All the best, eh? See ya.
Still this large crowd expected to top 30,000 spilling into Carisbrook, and a nice touch down on the ground. The Otago Rugby Union making the most of this opportunity to give the young rugby folk of the city a bird's eye view of today's big test match. In fact, shades here of a junior Commonwealth Games with an opening ceremony with all the junior rugby teams from the Otago region being paraded onto the ground, and it's being most appreciated too by the crowd, this large crowd that's already here, and I bet these fellows are absolutely enjoying it as well. Today's test match here at Carisbrook.
1905 and it was against Australia. It was a match, in fact, that very nearly didn't happen at all. It was transferred from the Caledonian ground, which was unfit for play, and the game itself was played in heavy rain in front of a crowd of just 3,000 people, and the total match take was just £85. But the good news was that New Zealand won that first Test match here at Tahuna Park by 14 points to 3.
The official program for the match is still held at the Otago Rugby Union offices at Carisbrook, and it reveals, amongst other things, that New Zealand on that day played in blue jerseys. It must be remembered, though, that this New Zealand side wasn't the number one combination. The great originals at the time were on their way to Britain. The first Test match ever played at Carisbrook was against the Anglo-Welsh side in 1908. There were some famous names in that 15, including Jimmy Hunter, Billy Stead and Freddie Roberts. And one of their 1905 teammates, Jimmy Duncan, refereed the game, which New Zealand won. The first time the All Blacks ever played the Springboks was here in Dunedin in 1921, New Zealand winning 13-5. In 1930, the All Blacks wore white for the first time. The change of colour didn't help, and they lost for the first time on Carisbrook to the Lions by 6 points to 3. That New Zealand team contained some great players, such as George Napier, Bert Cook and Cliff Porter, playing in his last Test match. The 1959 match against the Lions was famous for perhaps the wrong reasons. It was the day the Lions scored all the tries, but Don Clark won the game with 6 penalty goals. The 1975 Scottish team didn't play a Test in Dunedin, although they did lose to Otago, but 6 years later the Scots were here at Carisbrook to play the All Blacks. A perusal of that team that day shows that David Halligan should have been the All Black fullback, but he pulled out, and Stu Wilson scored a try in New Zealand's hard-fought 11-4 victory, and there were no Aucklanders in the team. And Ian Milne is the only survivor from either side to be in today's Test match.
So today's Test is the 25th that the All Blacks have played in Dunedin, the 24th here at Carisbrook, and they've only ever been beaten twice in that time, and there's certainly good money around to suggest that that excellent record will continue this afternoon.
Well, there was a very chilly-looking Grant Nisbet retracing the fascinating history of Test matches played in the city, and there it is, a big day for Ian McGeechan, of course, the coach of the Scottish team, another who in fact had his services to rugby or to sport recognised in the Queen's Birthdays Honours list, which were published this morning, but I'm sure his mind is focused only on one thing today, and that's his team's ability to beat the All Blacks. A very successful coach, now considered to be the most successful coach in Europe, and today probably the biggest test of his career to see if he can in fact bring the Scots their first ever All Black scalp in a Test match. Well, speaking of the All Blacks and the Scots, let's meet the two teams for today's match with our commentators Keith Quinn and Grant Nisbet.
Firstly, the All Blacks, and first man up is number 15, at least number 1, Steve McDowell. 24th cap today. Here's Sean Fitzpatrick in the hooking position in his 24th Test. And the other man in the front row is number 3, Richard Lowe. Ian Jones, Test debut today for the North Aucklander. And the most experienced in the All Blacks side is number 5, Gary Wetton. Here's his twin brother on the side of the scrum, Alan Wetton. Local boy, Mike Brewer, plays in the number 7 jersey. Buck Shelford captains the All Blacks for the 13th time in a Test this afternoon. Just his 3rd Test match today, Graham Bashop of Canterbury. The birthday boy, 28 today, number 10, Grant Fox. Another man from Auckland, left winger, Terry Wright. Test debut for number 12, Walter Little. 26th consecutive Test for Joe Stanley, number 13. Back in Test rugby after an injury, 14 is John Kerwin. And after 3 years away from the All Blacks side, the fullback is number 15, Kieran Crowley.
And certainly there's nothing wrong with the state of junior rugby in Otago, judging by the number of these youngsters that have been pouring onto Carisbrook. There must be hundreds, if not thousands of them there. In fact, I think there are certainly more banners on Carisbrook at the moment than we saw way back in January in the opening ceremony at Mount Smart Stadium. Marvellous sight. Big day for all the youngsters. A day I'm sure they'll never forget.
First man we meet is the captain, David Michael Barclay Sol. Here's the hooker on his first Test cap. South African representative for Natal last year, John Allen. Here's the man who's the birthday boy tomorrow. 43 caps today for Ian Milne. Here's Chris Gray, the dentist from Nottingham. Damien Cronin, also from an Anglo-Scot. John Jeffrey, the man they call the White Shark, will be on the side of the scrum. The other side is Finlay Calder, playing in his second to last international today. In the back of the scrum is Derek White. Into the backs now, and here's the man from Jedburgh, Gary Armstrong. The first 5/8 is Craig Chalmers from Melrose, his 10th cap today. And then Ivan Tukolo, the winger. The New Zealander Sean Lenine in his 10th appearance for Scotland today. Scott Hastings, one of the two brothers, will play in the centres today. On the other wing is Tony Stanger from Hoyk in the Scottish Borders area. And behind them all, the man who's one of the vital men in the Scottish team, fullback Gavin Hastings.
That's the Scottish team today, which is substantially the same team that carried them to just about every major trophy in European rugby earlier this year. Well, one New Zealander who's had a very good look at these Scottish teams so far on this tour of New Zealand is Radio New Zealand's rugby commentator John Macbeth. He talks now to Keith Quinn.
Thanks very much, Brendan. Well, here's a busy man on any test day in New Zealand. Radio New Zealand's John Macbeth. What's your view of the Scottish team that comes here to Carisbrook today?
Well, I've seen all their games on tour, Keith, and I must admit that I've been quite disappointed with what I've seen. But when you consider they've mixed their team up quite a bit, apart from the Canterbury game, I suppose there are excuses for them, inexperienced players, and we've had a lot of excuses from Ian McGeechan and the team for relatively poor performances. Then they hauled out basically their test team against Canterbury, and I wasn't very impressed with that. I hope that we haven't actually seen the best of them on tour, because if we have, and they produce that sort of form today, then the All Blacks are going to win by a decent heap, I think.
John, I've just been expounding the theory to Grant Nisbet because we talk such amazing logic that Ian McGeechan's been foxing a wee bit, that he hasn't shown his best hand on the tour. For instance, Craig Chalmers has hardly played a hand in any of the games. Is it possible he's got something more up his sleeve today?
I really don't think so. I think it's very difficult for a coach to keep things back. I think what he's hoping is that the test match will bring out the best in his players. And I think that Chalmers is one, you've mentioned him as a player who's a little bit on edge, and he's played poorly, I think. His kicking has been dreadful. He's not a great passer. He hasn't taken the right options often enough to really look as though he's going to be a threat in this test. The man that I'm looking forward to seeing again is Gary Armstrong, their halfback, who I think is a tremendous player. And if Chalmers can get going, and if Lenine and the Hastings brothers can get some reasonable ball and put in some moves competently, then maybe we'll see something from the Scottish backline. But I really think they're going to keep it fairly tight.
Okay, let's talk about the All Whites, the All Blacks, yes, as they usually know. Can they carry on from what we saw in Ireland, Wales and Twickenham?
It's asking a lot of them. Their training sessions haven't been the greatest. They've taken a while to get back into the groove, and I don't think they're there yet. But there's a lot of experience there, and they've been through it. They know what the story is. 19 without loss, and they're not going to lose this one by really not putting it together. They're so keen to do well. I think we'll see them get back somewhere near that form, but it's asking a lot of them first up. A win to them, no, and by a reasonable margin, I think, Keith.
Actually, old Grizz was saying to me, or Mr. Wiley as we call him, Mr. Wiley as we call him, he was saying to me that the players weren't thinking about Gallagher and Schuster and company. Do you think it's possible they can go on the field, not have Gallagher behind them, Schuster at second 5/8, Boddicker sitting in the stand as part of the planning, and just carry it on?
I think so. Well, Wellington did it, didn't they? And they said afterwards that maybe they played better with those players out of it, because those players weren't there. They didn't have them to rely on. I think the players that have come in, Crowley and Little, are great players. I think they'll do marvellous, have a marvellous game today, all of them, and Ian Jones will have a fine debut. It's interesting, Keith, I was just watching the highlights of Scotland versus England, the last game in the Five Nations. When
that's on television, John, was it?
On television, in-house video it was. And England were playing in the white jerseys, and I thought the last win for the Scots, they were playing against a team in white jerseys, and they went out as 2-1 underdogs. They're doing that today.
John Macbeth, thank you very much.
The thoughts of John Macbeth, the Radio New Zealand's rugby commentator, and as you can see, Carisbrook is filling up very quickly indeed, and I'm pleased to say that those black clouds that was scudding across the Dunedin skyline at about 1:30 when we joined you have disappeared, and it's now a very bright and very colourful atmosphere here, and not done naturally. A very strong Scottish spirit and very strong Scottish presence felt here at the Carisbrook ground this afternoon. And we'll be back with more from our build-up for the first test match, which was now just over half an hour away, right after this break, and this special message from the Knight from Trent Bridge.
Hi, Paddles here in England with the New Zealand cricket team. Just like to wish the All Blacks all the very best for today's match against Scotland. Get stuck in there, win the match, we'll be watching it.
All City has got behind this promotion, and there is a tremendous feeling. It was in the city yesterday, and it is certainly there again today. Large crowds making their way from the nearby city centre down here to Carisbrook, and we expect a crowd of over 30,000 people to watch this match when it starts in just over 30 minutes' time. Well, the All Blacks side for today's test match is quite a bit different from the 15 that took the field here 12 months ago against Argentina. In fact, fully 1/3 of that All Black team from a year ago is missing from today's All Black side, of course, for a variety of reasons. But with the absence of old faces, it provides the opportunity for newcomers, for new faces. There are 2 newcomers in the All Black side today, new anyway to Test match rugby. It's Walter Little and Ian Jones. And Grant Nisbet spoke to Ian Jones and asked him what it means to wear the All Black Test jersey for the first time.
There's the top honour, ultimate honour of any rugby player's goal. It means a lot, and I just want to get out there and sort of prove it to myself that I'm capable of doing it.
What do you think your feelings will be running onto Carisbrook?
They're pretty mixed, I think, a bit of emotion. I get nervous anyway, any game, but I'm sure I'll be supercharged. Hopefully I'll put that into some energy. I could only tell you when I do it. I wouldn't really know.
Well, Walter, what does it mean to you to play in a Test match for the All Blacks?
Well, really, it means quite a lot to me. I mean, I've always wanted to play in a Test match, and now that I've got my chance, just going to give it all I got.
What do you think your feelings will be running onto Carisbrook?
Well, I know there's going to be a great atmosphere there, and just going to have to try and block it out somehow and just concentrate on the game.
You feeling a lot of tension leading up to it?
Oh, actually, it's been quite good. I mean, there's quite a high quality going into trainings and that, and it's there's quite intensity in it. But I'm just really looking forward to it. I can't wait.
Well, Kieran Crowley, what's it like to be back in the All Black family, if you like?
Yeah, it's great. The players made me really welcome, and they're all such good players. You get carried along with it. It's really good.
Feel any different to what it did maybe 4 years ago when you first played?
Not really. A lot of the moves have still got the same names and that, so it's been quite easy to fit in.
Now, how are you going to build up for this test? After all, you have done it before.
Well, it's a Test match is quite easy to build up too, because there's a lot of hype around and that, and it's just another game of rugby, but it's got a lot more importance.
Thinking back to the last time you did play in a Test match, what were your feelings as you ran onto the park?
Yeah, you're very proud, but also, I always get a little bit worried. You're scared to make a mistake, sort of thing, because it is a Test match, and winning's everything in those matches, and it's not till you get off afterwards that you can sit down and just think about what you've done and say, yeah, we did it, sort of thing. That's when you get the good buzz.
And the Scottish kilts out in big numbers here, as you'd expect at Carisbrook this afternoon. There really is a marvellous atmosphere here at Carisbrook. It's one that you not often always see at big rugby matches these days. Not too much of the commercial hype, just plenty of good old traditional rugby spirit. There was Kieran Crowley, the ever laconic Kieran Crowley, looking and sounding rather measured and calm on the eve of his return to the All Black Test side today. Well, in the Scottish team today, there is a man who's playing in his 44th cap. That's Ian Milne. In fact, he's the only survivor from the Scottish team that played here against the All Blacks back in 1981. He'll be marking one of the really strong men of world rugby today, the All Black prop forward Steve McDowell, who spoke to Grant Nisbet yesterday about the battle between himself and Ian Milne.
Well, he's been around a long time. He's obviously a very big and powerful man, and he's anchored the Lion scrum for years. I scrummed against him in the World Cup, and he was a formidable opponent then.
Good technique?
Good technique. He's got a very strong back, very straight. He likes to push straight, which makes it good. There's not too many collapsed scrums that way, but no, she'll be a tough battle up front with the Scottish front row, with the new cap as well.
Steve McDowell talking there to Grant Nisbet about his expected battle with the strong man from the Scottish scrum today, Ian Milne. Back in the Scottish team, he's missed the last few Test matches because of injury, and I'm sure his return to the Scottish team will in fact be something that we can all look forward to. Well, we'll be back with more from our build-up in just a moment, but firstly, another message from another night.
Rugby's a game, and let's hope we enjoy it. So best of luck, New Zealand.
Now just 28 minutes away, and it's virtually sold right out, standing room only. And you'd really wonder where this Test match is being played. Is it Murrayfield or is it New Zealand? The Scots like their loose forwards. Their fans are everywhere. They're all around Carisbrook at the moment, all over the place. Well, there's no doubt about it. The All Blacks, of course, must start this match as favourites. I mean, they are the world champions. And even if everyone hasn't been entirely convinced with the form of the Scots so far on this tour, they have nonetheless made a pretty good fist of things. The fact is that they've gone through all their lead-up matches unbeaten. And not many touring teams can come to New Zealand and go through their first 5 matches leading up to the first test without being beaten. And the Scottish team, as we said, have shown some very good form on this tour. And among the 3 opponents who've not been able to beat Scotland have been 3 national First Division sides.
Good leap up front by Helena. Scott Keith, number 7, has it. Ripped away by Gavin Hill, this most impressive flanker coming from the Canterbury area earlier this season. Here it is for Bradbrook. Up to Paul Carey, ready. And here's Berry. Marty Berry. Held a metre short. Wellington getting very close, yes. Chris Tregaskis, number 5. Scores the try after 7 minutes, and Wellington lead. Scotland rather camped near the Wellington line. Buchanan Smith taps it up. Armstrong took it. Is there a halfback? Here is Wiley. Pops it up. Try here for John Allen. Scotland have scored their first try. The man standing off the ruck was the hooker, John Allen. And Scotland ahead now by 7-4.
Bradbrook now. Power. Power driving for the line. Very close, Doug Power. Wellington scratching it there for Bradbrook. And Bradbrook is in. Power into the new setup. Bradbrook cleared. Porchetti. Rennie. Tangaloa. Timo Tangaloa is in.
Some of the passing right throughout this tour has not been great. And that was another example as Canterbury get the foot into this scrum. Look at the weight coming in from the Scots. They're going to test the All Black scrum as Gary Armstrong's away. Here's Finlay Corner. Corner for the line. And there's the first try of the game. Looking towards the big fellas near the back. Here goes number 5, Dodd Weir. Gives it away to his fellow lock 4, Jeremy Richardson. There it is again for Oliver. Away to Wiley. Shield. Paul Laidlaw. Well, a sensational try by Paul Laidlaw. Now Oliver. Wiley. Shield. Wiley doubling. Here's Scott Hastings charging through. Oh, that's a good try. That's more like it. Scotland look hungry now, don't they? They look interested in scoring tries. Cross to Tukalo. Ivan Tukalo, good run from him. Tukalo still going, and the try is scored by Alex Moore on the right wing side, but well set up by Ivan Tukalo from the left wing. And Scotland have yet another try, their 3rd in the game. Buchanan Smith has it this time. They already have run the Southland side ragged in the second half. Now Wiley. Oh, he should have gone the other way. He decided to in the second instance. Here goes Peter Dodds. Dodds gets there. Yes, he does. Just made it. But an explosive run from Peter Dodds. Now Wiley missing out Shield this time. Up to Hastings. Dodds across to Tukalo. Tukalo gets past Mackenzie. Oh, what a good tackle, though. Gets the pass back to Shield. And Graham Shield has a try right on full time.
This is the scene here just outside of Carisbrook with the old Southerner, I think, by the look of it, from what we saw of it there. There it is at the top of the picture, which has brought many keen rugby fans from many of the villages and the hamlets north of Dunedin on its way south to Invercargill, unloading, I suspect, hundreds of rugby fans just a few metres away at the nearest railway station from Carisbrook. And the ground, as you can see, absolutely chocker. And a lovely day here in Carisbrook for the 14th Test match between the All Blacks and Scotland. And we'll be back with more on the build-up in just a moment, right after this message from Jim Bolger.
Well, I wish the Scots good luck, but I have to say I'm with the All Blacks all the way, and I think we're going to do the Scottish just as we've done most of the other teams around the world. Good luck to the All Blacks.
They got a tremendous reception when they walked on to Carisbrook just a few minutes ago to entertain the large crowd here. Well, today's test match here at Carisbrook is the first time since 1981 that Scotland, in fact, have toured New Zealand and played a test match here in Carisbrook. Of course, they were here for the World Cup in 1987 and played the All Blacks at Lancaster Park that year, but this is the first time that the Scottish team have toured New Zealand, and back in 1981, the first test here at Carisbrook turned out to be a rather close encounter.
Today's referee is Dick Byers of Australia, and it's Andy Irvine who begins the first test match on a windy and rain-swept Carisbrook ground in Dunedin, and touching down is the late replacement in the All Black team coming in for his first test match at fullback from the Petone Club in Wellington, Alan Hewson. A penalty to New Zealand from that attempted dropout from the 22. I think it was always in a scrum.
The thing is now he can award this penalty anywhere along that line, and Graham Murray's taking the penalty as close as he wants to the far side so that it's closer to the touchline. The 25 is where the ball is going to be kicked off, where the penalty is given, and as you can kick the ball away from any part of that 22, that's why the penalty was over there.
That's Paxton and Mexted, goal line in the background. Ten minutes gone, second half. No tries yet in the game, but we've had controversy. The score in the corner, the attempted score in the corner in the first half by Steve Munro, and the close one again involving Munro in the second half. And Munro made what looked like a bad error of judgment. Loveridge, Fraser. Caught by Jim Call, but Fraser got up. Murray, Loveridge, that's the goal line ahead. Gary Knight driving off Knight. Fraser in there trying to ruck the ball. Now is it there? Mark Shaw digging deep.
Good play by Bernie Fraser there, keeping on his feet and turning the ball round. Graham Murray with him, and then getting it back to Loveridge. Loveridge keeping it tight in with the forwards because the momentum was going forward.
Scotland ball in very close to their own line.
And Andy Hayden may even kick the ball through here. Andy Dalton.
Well, let's see, is that a try? It's a try for Loveridge. The ball must have passed over the line. The scrum is therefore finished. Therefore, the try is allowed. We may get a better view of that end on. Let's see, watch number 9, Loveridge bending over, and then the ball is dived on by Loveridge, obscured to us, and the try is scored.
Now you see the white line, which is the goal line there. The scrum moving around a bit. And Andy Dalton may have kicked it through to give it a little bit of added impetus. There it goes in. Now watch, it comes over, and that's what happened. The locks and the number 8 couldn't get their hands down to get the ball. Laidlaw was confused, and Loveridge, like a dash, was in to put the hand on the ball for the try. Good thinking.
Good hook by Dalton. Loveridge, the pressure is coming from New Zealand. A move involving Bruce Robertson. Has he got a man to flip it to? Mexted is there. Now the ruck is on. Loveridge. Hands ahead, Higginson. Goal line there. Murray, Loveridge done. Hewson. Murray, Loveridge, Jefford. Long cut-out pass. Wilson. Here it is again. It was a result of tremendous build-up involving mostly Murray and Loveridge. This is the end of it, with Andy Jefford out to Stuart Wilson, and another test match try for the flying Wellington winger. Cold afternoon. Temperatures about 8 degrees at kick-off time. Rutherford. He's getting through. That's Murray. Slip Murray. John Rutherford. Halfway, a line up to the left. Deans. Wilson, awkward bouncing ball. Cranston, it's lost. Can they control it? Now he was in front. Leslie was in front. And thus Scotland again have been denied a try. But I think Dick Byers was correct in that ruling. This is the last little bit of that. With Deans kicking ahead, all sorts of bother for the All Blacks. Stu Wilson in particular, but watch the position of Leslie. He was ahead of the kicker, quite definitely. No try. He was offside. Deans throws. Scotland's done a little better than the line-up. Deans through again, very fast with Paxton. Deans again. Try for Colin Deans, and he did it all on his own.
Well, Colin Deans finally got the try, but he may have just been in front of the man that kicked the ball. If we watch it on the replay to actually what happened. See the kicking, see Deans is in front of Paxton, and no New Zealand player touched the ball, and Deans continued to kick it ahead, and then waited for it, and then dived for it to get the try.
So that's how it finished in 1981, just 7 points in it. Well, we've been joined now by Earl Curtin, a dentist to the rich and famous, and a man who knows a thing or two about drilling a few rugby teams as well. Earl, I detect an air of nervousness around this All Black camp at the moment. There's Grizz Wiley complaining about the training runs, these newcomers in the All Black side. Are they vulnerable today?
Well, they're always vulnerable because they've gone so long without a defeat, and therefore you may have a bit of complacency creeping in, and that's what the Grizz is very worried about, obviously, as a coach. And there's one thing too about the Scots is that he's played against them, and so have I in the past. And particularly in Scotland, I'm not so much about here in New Zealand because I've only been here once before with the World Cup. Twice before. But they've got tremendous hearts, and they'll throw their bodies around like nothing on earth. And I believe the first half will be very tight and close.
What about this All Black performance today? Will it be the expansive rugby we've come to see from them in the past, or will they be a wee bit more conservative today?
No, they'll be far more conservative, particularly early on, because I think they'll go back and we'll have, what they talk in general terms, targets. And we'll have plenty of targeting as such, both from the Blacks and the Scots, because I can imagine they're going to bring Hastings in, always on the chop, to try and set up their second phase for their good loosies, and they're strong in the back row, and that's what they're going to use. And I think that the thing that New Zealand has to do really is hold them in the early part and then expand later on the last 20 minutes, and I think they'll win by 15.
And we'll hear more from Earl Curtin when he joins Keith Quinn and Grant Nisbet in the commentary of the match, which is just a few moments away. But firstly, a message from the Prime Minister.
Today it's Dunedin in the south, home of Otago Rugby, and venue for today's rugby test, New Zealand and Scotland on this ground, Carisbrook. And what a splendid sight it makes as we have our first look in at match conditions for the playing of this important rugby international, with a big, boisterous and excited crowd of people on the embankment at Dunedin. Every ticket in the stands is sold out as we look in underneath at the preparations. And there's Ian McGeechan honoured in the Queen's birthday list today. John Allen being wished well before his first test cap for Scotland, and the door to the Scottish dressing room shut. Certainly is a very expectant crowd here at Carisbrook today for the playing of this first test match. So we await the teams coming on to Carisbrook, which will be very nicely grassed, and there is the All Blacks line-up. In fact, they're the all-white All Blacks today with two new caps. You see them there. Number 12, Walter Little, the second 5/8 from North Harbour, and Ian Jones, number 4, the lock forward from North Shore. There's a comeback kid behind them all, Kieran Crowley from Kaponga in Taranaki, playing his 10th test match today, but his first since 1987. The rest of the All Black team are the very familiar names, with John Kerwin, number 14, and Alan Wetton, number 6, making comebacks of sorts as well, coming back after injuries. The highest capped player is Gary Wetton, his 42nd day, and the captain is Wayne Shelford.
And the Scots introduced just one new cap into their side for today's test. He's the 27-year-old hooker John Allen, a tough, uncompromising character. Beside Allen in the scrums will be the only survivor from the 1981 match here, Ian Milne, playing in his 43rd test. Scottish hopes in the game will depend a lot on the form of their excellent loose trio of White, Calder and Jeffrey. And in the back line, number 10, Craig Chalmers is a vital link. His form so far on the tour has been most patchy. And the tourists will be led from up front by number 1, David Soul.
There's a former All Black, Jeff Matheson, outside the door of the All Blacks dressing room. He's the liaison officer with the New Zealand team. And there's the thumping on the door. Everything is ready. Our first look inside at the
What a moment that is. Arms around each other. We can see the big headband belonging to Ian Jones about to play his first test match. Look at that, a handshake between Gary Wetton and Ian Jones. We're really getting right in there with a bit of the pre-match tension as the All Blacks come out. Manager John Sturgeon and Captain Wayne Shelford, of course, leading them out. Well, he can do no more, Alex Wiley. He really just gets up on the stand now and, if he can, enjoys the game, but no doubt analysing it.
Here they come.
There he is, 28 years of age today, his birthday. What a way to celebrate it, playing for his country.
Yeah, very good. So that's it, goes to Smith. Yeah.
Now a fanfare being played in the Carisbrook ground to introduce the teams onto the field. New cap Walter Little, our first look at him in a test team. So Scotland, like they did in the Five Nations final against England, are going to walk out, are they? Let's look. Out front, they've jogged out. They walked out onto Murrayfield. Remember, today they have jogged onto Carisbrook in the far south of New Zealand, led by their very able captain, David Soul. So there he is from Carmo. They'll be very proud of this young man, 23 years of age, about to make his test debut, locking the scrum with Gary Wetton. And there you see him just handing the ball with each other, and a great moment of tenseness between these two teams.
National anthem.
atmosphere is there. This is the biggest crowd I've seen at a rugby test in Dunedin for a long, long time. Earl Curtin, as an old Otago man, you'd have to be impressed with the size of the crowd for a start.
Oh, it's a tremendous crowd. The other thing is the ground is absolutely perfect. That old rose stand corner over there on the right hand as we look at the field is magic. Beautifully drained.
The usual big reception for the All Black haka, led brilliantly again by Wayne Shelford, and there's big Steve McDowell, on whom the New Zealand scrummage hopes will rest today. Behind the ball, Kieran Crowley, back in Test rugby, the first time since Queen's birthday weekend 1987. So over 3 years he's waited to play his 10th Test appearance. Kieran Crowley from Taranaki. Here's the referee today from Barrow-on-Furness in England, Colin High, his 5th international game. New Zealand against Scotland, first Test, 1990.
14th Test match between these two sides. Craig Chalmers gets it underway for the Scots, who have early possession just inside All Black territory. Here's Chalmers again, evading Fox. Good charge here from John Allen, the new cap, just out from the 22. Scots have the ball again. Chalmers might have kicked it a bit far. Kerwin takes it back, and Crowley had to clear it for touch. He didn't find the line. This is Tukalo. Here is Gary Armstrong, gets away from Brewer. Quite a frenetic start to this Test match. Right on the 22, Brewer taps it back for the All Blacks. And what have we got here? Inside the 10 metres. The All Blacks have the penalty. They have either the kick there or the scrum back. And that's quite a start to the game, just a minute gone.
It was certainly a rapid start. It was all over the place. They were playing basketball. Good stuff. Lovely day.
Here is the birthday boy, Grant Fox, 28 years of age today, and that's a good start from him. The kick is deep inside Scottish territory, and the first line out of the match will take place 12 metres on the Scottish side of halfway. No score in the game, just over a minute gone. Chance to welcome our friends to the ITV network throughout Great Britain to this live coverage from Carisbrook. Brewer trying to come through. 10 metres out from the 22, it's handed up to Bashop to Fox. Fox with the early up and under, testing Gavin Hastings. Horney put it down, the ball's bounced on the All Black side. It's controlled in there by the men in the all white today. Steve McDowell has it. Shelford in there helping him. McDowell still hanging on. Now he's tipped it up. Here's Fox. Out to right. Here's Crowley. Back to Little. Walter Little gets his first touch in Test rugby as the All Blacks stream up to within 5 metres of the Scottish line.
They needed to clear that ball faster, but it had come very fast. They had a 4-on-2 on that side. They took a wee bit long because they mauled it again.
So a look at the players in the front of the line out. There's Steve McDowell against David Soul. There is John Allen with the throw. Allen went and got a touch. Ian Jones took it down. Good start in the lineouts for Jones. And the All Blacks have a penalty. The Scots were going in over the top there. And Colin Hyde, the referee, has penalised the tourists. And so first chance now for Grant Fox. 2 minutes gone in the match, and Fox will kick for goal from just 8 metres in from the touchline. Let's have another look at this. Ian Jones took it nicely on the second take, and the Scots came in and killed the ruck. You can see the ball is loose there, but the referee had already penalised Scotland for coming in over the top, killing the ball. And now Grant Fox. 331 points in just 20 Test matches at an average of near 16. All vantage points taken here at Carisbrook. You can see the train, in fact, is stopped on the tracks behind. Fox. And after just 3 minutes in the game, Grant Fox kicks yet another penalty goal, the first in this match, and the All Blacks lead by 3 points to 0.
Well, I mean, it was a good build-up and a good drive, good penalty by Fox, great touch finder, and then they moved it across to the left. I just felt that they all, then 5 yards off the goal line, needed fast ball to get it through on the left.
Chalmers kicks out for Scotland. Taken down by Gary Wetton, the veteran of the New Zealand team. Basham is pressurised. Picked up by Ian Jones, who will be relieved that he's handled the ball 3 times now in the first 4 minutes of his first test. And it's on the New Zealand 22. New Zealand, of course, wear the white jerseys when they're playing in home internationals against Scotland. There's Wetton going in with Jones. Ian Milner's number 3. There's Lowe, Fitzpatrick and McDowell. Now the scrummaging is all important in this game. Oh, look at McDowell, really put the hard work in there on his opposite, Milne. Chalmers, high ball to Hastings in, to his brother. Good run. Stanger. Oh, lovely run by Stanger. That's the goal line just there. Scotland desperately driving in over here. And it's scrambled over the in-book goal line. Hey, who said Scotland's not going to run the ball on their backs? They've run the ball down to this good position here after 5 minutes. New Zealand leading 3-0. Collapse there at the front.
And they've got to run it against them, Keith. There's only one way you can beat the incumbents, and that's to run the ball at them. And if they are the so-called world champions, in inverted commas, they need to run the ball at them to win this ball game.
Perhaps it's the best in the Northern Hemisphere against the best in the Southern Hemisphere today. The Five Nations champions, Grand Slam winners against New Zealand. Unbeaten last year, unbeaten in fact since 1986. Free kick against New Zealand, against Lowe for pulling down. Quick one taken. David Soul driving up. John Jeffrey trying to drive over. He's just short. Into the backs. Lenine. The New Zealander scores against New Zealand. What a brilliant moment for him. The grandson of a Scot, the son of an All Black. Perfect breeding to play in a match like this. And number 12, Sean Lenine, scores the game's first try under the post. It came from this back movement. Chalmers, he left out Lenine. Hastings took the pass, that's Scott Hastings, and through the loop. It was a mile wide the gap, and Sean Lenine is in.
Well, here it is. It was a lovely loop. It was well run too. Grand to see them using the ball like this, and he had no trouble. The gap was a mile wide.
There is Sean Lenine, who scored the try, his first for Scotland. It's been converted by Gavin Hastings. Scotland are leading by 6 points to 3. We've only had 7.5 minutes gone in the game. What a marvellous moment. And the Scots are feeling a lot happier here in Dunedin. 6-3, 7.5 minutes gone in the game.
Oh, it was good football. That's what they needed. They need to attack them, and they certainly are. In other words, they've been running a stoomer, as they say in the horse racing game. They're going to use their backs, and they're going to try early to obviously get the ascendancy. Beautiful loop, though.
Oh, what a brilliant try as Grant Fox kicks out for the All Blacks. Jones reaches up high, taps it on the All Black side. Coming now for Basham to Fox. Here's the kick. Hastings is looking into a strong sun here, and he did well to take the mark. Well, he's a class player, Gavin Hastings, there's no doubt about that. Playing today in his 25th international for Scotland, and he's a vital man. And I think we'll see a lot more of him if the Scots continue to use their backs, as they've shown they will do in the first 8 minutes of this game. Six points to 3, the Scots lead. The try scored by the Kiwi boy, Sean Lenine. Converted by Gavin Hastings to the early penalty goal kicked by Grant Fox. Gary Wetton jumping against Chris Gray. That's the battle at the front of the lineup. There's Steve McDowell right at the front of the All Black line. As Fitzpatrick throws, Wetton wins it. Bashop gets it away to Fox, up to Little. Little looking for Kerwin. And he meets strong resistance there from Craig Chalmers, number 10. He made a good tackle in centre field. So the All Blacks trying to involve everybody early on. Got Kerwin in the action there. There he is, John Kerwin. Well, in fact, there's Craig Chalmers who made the tackle.
Yes, Kerwin loves to be involved early. He asks to be brought in very early to get a feel of the ball and to get a crunch in.
Good chance here for the All Blacks, right in centre field. Picked up by Shelford. Here's Bashop. Chance here for New Zealand. Here's Crowley. Crowley again. Oh, brilliant. Kieran Crowley. That is a quite brilliant try from Kieran Crowley in the wilderness for 3 years. His very first match on Carisbrook in a 10-year career. Just have a look at the skill here. The little kick, and then he had the pace to get there. Hauled it in, made the final 5 metres and scored an outstanding try.
Oh, well, this is lovely. It's a lovely chip kick. He mightn't have the pace of Gallagher, but by James, he's got skill. Watch how he chips underneath this ball. Even if he hadn't caught it on the full, it was still going to spin back to him with the kick that he gave to it. Lovely try. And a delight, too, for a man who's only had 2 first-class games this year.
Kieran Crowley, his 3rd test try. And Grant Fox, New Zealand back in front, 7 points to 6. And here's Fox, 15 metres in from the right-hand touch. So Grant Fox adds the extra 2. And what a great start to this test. There's Kieran Crowley, who scored the All Black try. And New Zealand lead by 9 points to 6. 11 minutes into the game in front of this packed house at Carisbrook.
Yes, what took the Scots by surprise in that last move was they didn't realise that probably that Crowley would run quite so early or run so effectively on the blind side.
Chalmers kicks out. What a game we're going to have today. What a game we've had already. Penalty for New Zealand.
Yes, it was against John Jeffrey coming around offside.
There's Fox up the touchline. It goes. And so there is Kieran Crowley, the man who said the other day he'd virtually resigned himself to never playing for the All Blacks again. But a door opened and he stepped into the gap, and well, he really stepped into the spotlight with that try. Pushing at the line out. Beautiful scenes here at Carisbrook and Dunedin today. Here's Gavin Hastings, strong sunlight in the first half. He's one of the biggest kickers of the ball in the game, and here's why. That is a superb kick by Gavin Hastings. He has to squint into the sunlight like everybody else to believe it, but he's driven the Scots up 60 metres, up to just a few metres from the New Zealand goal line. A marvellous kick. So it's Sean Fitzpatrick, the New Zealander, in his 24th international to throw. It's the corner flag behind. Deflected by Wetton, touchdown by Bashop. 5-metre scrum, Scotland ball. Now, big pressure here on Ian Mill, number 3. There's Finlay Calder, number 7. Big, powerful scrum. New hooker in there. Look how their backs are lining up in attacking formation. Tension in there.
I think they'll bluff this time. I think the back row will go, even though the backs are lined back ready for it. I think they'll play the dummy of the last try move that Scotland scored.
Coming wide! Coming wide!
Gary Armstrong, 14 minutes gone. Calder is off. Shelford was well and truly ready. So they were ready for it, Earl Curtin.
Yes, they were ready for it. And they did exactly that. That's good football, though. It's thinking football. Calder spun off, ready to have a crack.
Very low.
You're scrimmaging too low.
Isn't it great to see the backs standing like that? They're really in the mood. Scored one brilliant try already. Big scrummage work going in there. A planned move. Hastings to Chalmers. Stanger. Buried by Walter Little. Come to New Zealand. That's Alan Wetton with the ball. John Jeffrey lost it. Bash up to Crowley. So the move there, packed with tension, didn't quite come off. And the pass out to Hastings in the centre was deflected down. But here is the big man that plots the tactics of the Scottish team on the field, David Soul, their captain. Thrown deep. That's Gray, number 4. That's White, number 8. This is Armstrong. High one. Crowley coming forward and Little too. Penalty to New Zealand.
Yes, the passing wasn't quite sharp enough in that last Scottish move when they did the double miss. They missed out 2 players, and it was a wee bit behind the Stanger.
So there's Alan Wetton putting his contact lens back in. Real player of the 90s is Alan Wetton. There's Grant Fox putting his mouthguard back in. All the gears, these modern international players. So Gary Armstrong already showing signs of battle as Allen throws. Jones got the palm and claimed it again. That's the halfway line. Alan Wetton, Basham, Fox, the high ball. Got Hastings on the run. Oh, lovely play by Gavin Hastings. He's made it up to the 22. Brilliant play by the fullback from the tightest corner of the field. Now Chalmers with the steady kick. Well, that is courageous play by a team that is very full of confidence, Earl Curtin.
Well, yes, that's the thing. I mean, they've got to run at them, and they're trying to run at them, and they're taking slightly more risks than one would expect from the Scottish side, and considering their previous games in this country.
"17 minutes gone. New Zealand 9 and Scotland 6.
Sean Fitzpatrick to throw to this line-out. Ian Jones has done very well. He's won another one. Now Fox sends it out to Little. He's going to kick this time. Hastings is running across. He won't be required this time. Good kick from Little. There is Walter Little, his test match debut at just 20 years of age.
26.99.
Well, Ian Jones has certainly had the better of Damien Cronin in the middle of the line-out. Jones towering again. I think Gary Wetton got a hand on that one. Here's Fox up to Little. Joe Stanley, haven't seen much of him. He's well taken. Ball bobbling all over the place. And the first ball was lost forward by a smoking Joe Stanley.
It's almost the first ball I've ever seen Smoking Joe lose forward at test level.
That's the 10-metre line in Scottish territory, just to the left.
The Scots might have been disappointed they didn't make advantage of that deal. They're very good on the mistakes the other side makes.
Yes, exactly. Their back row is good.
A little bit of trouble getting these scrums settled. Held in the back by White, coming rather slowly for Armstrong, who does the kicking himself this time. Crowley is having to make ground across. And he's got all the time in the world here now, Crowley. And that's a good, powerful punt by Kieran Crowley. Well, what a return to international rugby for this man, the share milker from Kioponga.
Well, I don't really go too much along with that. I think he's always been a good fullback. I mean, it's just the sheer brilliance of Gallagher, really, and Ridge, who are exceptional. That's why the league boys wanted them. It kept them out.
Lining up right on halfway. Didn't look too straight, did it? No, that's right. The referee agrees and says let's have a scrum in 15 metres. Live coverage of this test match coming to you through Television New Zealand's One World of Sport from Carisbrook. What a great setting it is too. 19 minutes gone. And the All Blacks ahead by 9 points to 6. Here's Basham. Missing out little this time. Straight out to Kerwin. Can't get past Tukalo. All Blacks have it on halfway. Basham kicking down the blind side. Good little kick too, but it's bounced favourably for Gavin Hastings. Well, the old rugby ball, it can bounce anywhere. On that occasion, it bounced nicely for this Scottish fullback.
I think the sum's bothering him. I think he reads the bounce a lot, though, too. A lot of those good fullbacks do. They don't necessarily take it on the full. And if they can't get there, they do read it very well in the air.
All Blacks deciding to play with the sun in the first half. Wayne Shelford possibly thinking that the sun will dip down behind the hill in the second spell. We'll have to wait and see. Here's Chalmers inside his 22. There is young Craig Chalmers, who has, to be fair, been most disappointing on this tour to date. The 21-year-old from Melrose. Tony Stanger out on the right wing side. He had a feel of the ball in the first couple of minutes. All Blacks doing extremely well at line-out time. There's Gary Wetton, number 5, near the front. Wetton drags another one in for the All Blacks. And they get a penalty too, as the Scots went into the wrong side of the ruck. Colin High has given the All Blacks another chance to put points on the board, and Grant Fox to line it up on around about the 10-metre line and 15 metres in from touch. Fox already a penalty and a conversion to the try scored by Kieran Crowley. And for the Scots, Sean Lanine scored the try, which was converted by Gavin Hastings. 9 points to 6.
Played against the Argentinians here last year, the Pumas. Had a great day with his kicking that day as well, Grant Fox.
Well, yes, if Scotland want to get back into this game, they've got to do it right now. They can't wait for the second half. They've got to win some line-out ball. And Jones and Wetton are hosing them out at present.
Grant Fox from about 40 metres out. Just pushed it away to the right. You can normally tell by watching Grant Fox, if he turns and heads back towards halfway, it's normally over. That time he wasn't quite so sure. He waited, and it wasn't over. So the All Blacks lead 9-6.
Chalmers kicks out. Lost to the Scottish side. Here is Hastings. He's put the big thump right up the middle. Crowley's going back. The sun at his back. And he's kicked it straight up in the air, so the Scots have to catch it looking into the sun. And it's hard, believe me. But here is Gary Armstrong. What a good one it was. Look at this, playing with confidence still, the Scots. That's halfway into Derek White, number 8. Up to the 10-metre mark. Armstrong in the game again. Chalmers. This is Sean Lanine. New Zealanders have probably already seen enough of him. Into White. Scotland controlling this ball in this one. Here's John Allen. Making progress up towards the 22. And in control still the Scots. So he watches from the stands. Alex Wiley. Look at the shadow from that power pole in the background, carrying high tension wires right down the length of the football field here in Carisbrook. And that has long shadows as well on all the players. It's hard to catch that ball into the sun. Let's go to Brendan Telfer on the sideline.
Well, thank you, Keith. Well, there's no doubt about it that this All Black side look very hesitant in the first 10 minutes here. One noticeable feature about this match is the amount of talking that Gary Wetton is doing to Ian Jones. Every time there's a break, he's giving him encouragement and direction, which I guess is a good thing.
So there are the locks going in behind the front row. Richard Lowe is up. Bashop watching Armstrong. White off. Armstrong running towards Stanger. Hastings is through. The two fullbacks meet. It's just 10 metres out. Stanger into Chris Gray, and Gray's in. He's not a happy chappy at the moment, is Alex Wiley, but this man is. Chris Gray has scored a try, and the lock must have moved very quickly indeed to get to that position. Scotland back in the lead. Look at Derek White off to Gary Armstrong, and look how you see Chris Gray in that shot putting his head down and sprinting hard as the two fullbacks met. The ball rolled loose. Armstrong up. Stanger had the ball and he fed his big lock who arrived. And look, there were gaps way ahead and he really had no problems at all getting there, Chris Gray.
No, there was a good build-up by Scotland, and it was a tremendous effort by Gray to get across too. Have a look at it there. He's been the form player, I think, for the Scots on this tour. He's a good ball player for a lot.
Here's Gavin Hastings. 2 tries to 1. Conversion from the side, and look at the long shadow on the ball. So the team facing the sun has problems. Look at him squinting into it here in Dunedin. And he's banged that away to the right, but Chris Gray is the try scorer, his second in internationals, and Scotland are back in the lead by 10 points to 9. There is their coaching panel. Ian McGeechan to the left and Derek Grant to the right. Some crafty thinkers there in the rugby sense, and they've got the Scottish team back in the lead now at 10 to 9.
So here's Grant Fox from halfway. 2 tries to 1, the Scots lead. Gavin Hastings, who's had a telling effect on this match with his strong running from full back, finds the touchline near the 22, 15 minutes out from half-time, and 10 points to 9.
See technically how good he was in the air too. He turned side on, Gavin Hastings, so if he did drop the ball, he had no show of going forward. So he was using, knowing he was into the sun, he used all the technique available to a good fullback. Good thinking.
All Blacks looking towards Alan Wetton at the back, and they find him too. He pushed off a shoulder, and so the penalty goes defensively to the Scots. There is Alan Wetton in his 23rd Test match. He played his first 4 Test matches as a replacement, but of course nowadays he's a permanent fixture in the New Zealand side.
There's something wrong with the New Zealand backs in terms of their defence, though. I think they're getting confused with their defensive pattern. It's going to be interesting to see how they buck it up.
Well, talking of bucking it up, the man at number 6 in the line-out buck shovel, there's a lovely take by Ian Jones. What a good Test debut so far from the man from North Auckland, Ian Jones, as the New Zealand forwards take it away. Great stuff up towards the 22. Now it's delivered nicely for Basham, up to Fox. Here comes Little on the double. Ball falls now for Terry Wright. Here's Stanley, out to Kerwin. Hasn't had many chances so far, Kerwin. All Blacks desperate to get this one back. And there's a man on the ground, Alan Wetton, it looks like. He's taken a solid knock, and he's a long way from where the action was. He's a good for 40 metres across field, Alan Wetton.
He looks as if he was holding his ribs.
Carry on, says the referee. And a back to Basham. Now Fox. Here's Stanley. Joe Stanley. This is Gary Wetton near the 22. Now Basham again. Little across to Crowley. Fierce tackling in centre field from the Scots. Zinzan Brook moving to the sideline. Alan Wetton, rather gingerly now, is heading back towards the scrum, which is about to form. There he is, number 6. Very good attacking position here for the All Blacks, right in centre field. Once again, the scrum has collapsed, though. Colin High has had his work cut out in that area of the game, holding these front rows up.
It's a beautiful position here for the New Zealand backs to chip over the top of these Scots. The Scots are up flat, and Hastings has come up on the blind side, just out of your picture here.
12 minutes out from half-time. Channel back rather slowly. Basham now to Fox. Here is the little chip kick. Now the chase is on. Still loose, and yes! Grant Fox gets his first try in Test rugby. What a moment for the birthday boy, Grant Fox. It's been a long time in coming, that first try. The near miss in Ireland last year. But he's finally got it today, and here's how it came. The ball is channeled back.
We should let Earl Curtin describe this. After all, he's picked it. He's read the book.
Go for it.
I know it's easy up here, isn't it? But what good thinking. The guy really has vision these days. And that was a marvellous birthday present to him. All his brains. Tremendous stuff, Foxy. Tremendous stuff. It had to be on. Once Hastings came over on this left-hand side, as I said before, the chip was obviously on.
What a birthday present. The cake and the candles.
But he makes us sound good. So easy from up here.
Well, it's an easy game, this rugby. Zinzan Brooks still hovering around. Alan Wetton appears to be recovered from that knock. Well, as I said, Grant Fox so near and yet so far at Lansdowne Road in Dublin last year. Well, that is the icing on the cake, isn't it? Scores the try and converts it. So 10 minutes out from half-time in this excellent Test match. New Zealand lead by 15 points to 10.
Let's go to Brendan Telfer for a report on the condition of Alan Wetton.
Well, I can tell you that he has had a bang on the head, but according to the New Zealand doctor I've just spoken to, who had a look at him while Grant Fox was making that conversion, he's fine, and he intends continuing for the rest of the match.
So that was him getting charged in there from the kickoff. 2 tries each. What a good Test match. Gary Armstrong running the narrow side.
Yes, it's definitely a good Test match. I mean, you wouldn't see as much movement as this in two Test matches sometimes in the past. So the crowd are well and truly getting their money's worth.
More tries scored against the All Blacks than in a long, long time. Away goes Ian Jones. Only one man to beat, but the whistle had gone. He's left the ball behind, so he's gone back to get it for his halfback, Graham Basham. That's him, number 9. Mike Brewer, the lone Otago player there on the side of the scrum, and Graham Basham, the 2 South Islanders in the New Zealand team today. Look how low those scrums are.
That's exactly what the referee said. It was too low.
So the Scots played the ball before it came out of the scrum. It's a free kick to the New Zealand team. 32 minutes gone. New Zealand 15 and Scotland 10. Allen throws, quick one. Down to Sol. Held in by Finlay Calder, back to Gary Armstrong. Here's Craig Chalmers. Bang it high towards John Kerwin. He's looked a wee bit shaky, but he's got this one safe, unlike the one early on. He gave a good pass to Crowley. And my word, Kieran Crowley is really on a roll at the moment, but that was a good pass from Kerwin because it gave him momentum and it made him, allowed him to beat a man and kick it up the touchline. Hasn't been much play gone this man's way yet. Number 11, Terry Wright.
So they're jumping off the shoulders in the New Zealand line out again, and this is the penalty chance for Scotland. Hastings, he's kicked them over the post from out there, but today into the sun, there's virtually no wind, so that's not worth worrying about, and that's driven them up towards the 22. Another kick from Gavin Hastings.
Well, yes, the Scots are trying to get back into, territorially get back into the All Blacks half, and they have to win a line-out ball, though. They're finding it very difficult.
Fitzpatrick, Jones, Basham. Hastings wait. The sun is there, but he's caught it again. Boom! They're gathering in midfield. Deflected forward off Hastings. This is advantage, McDowell. Oh, Terry Wright gets it at last. What a good tackle by his opposite number, Tony Stanger. Lost forward by Wright as he went to kick it forward. Good tackle by Tony Stanger there, his marker. There's the man who's going to have a birthday tomorrow. Will it be a celebration? Well, no doubt it will. Or will there be a test win? Fox deciding to have a go. 9 and 10 got him. This is little to Stanley. Midfield, Scott's defence is very good as usual. Basham, wide to Kerwin. Nice little duck and weave by Kerwin. Crowley, Basham backing up. Kerwin again, peeling around Basham. And over goes John Kerwin over the touchline.
But the grand little skill in that whole thing was the lovely pickup by Kieran Crowley again. He hasn't made a mistake yet. Good on him.
Kerwin involved twice that time, backing up with his fullback and then his halfback. New Zealand leading by 15 points to 10. 5 minutes to go till half-time.
New Zealand have really dominated the lineouts through Ian Jones in the middle. Scottish ball this time. This time Cronin gets two hands on it. Nicely channeled back by the Scots, and here's Chalmers with the clearing kick, and that relieves some of the pressure. Well, you wouldn't see a better 35 minutes in a test match anywhere. We've seen 4 cracking tries so far. Mike Brewer off the back against Finley Calder. Now it's New Zealand's throw to the line. Let's see whether they use Jones again. Well, that's not thrown in straight.
It's interesting too to see the Scots with all the bandages and whatnot, and all those blue pads they had on in Canterbury. Everything's come off. They've thrown away the crutches and the wheelchairs, etc. In other words, I think psychologically McGeechan must have got sick of it and said, come on, we're going out to play the best side in the world, throw everything off and throw it at them. It's most unusual to see a team these days without some blue band or a plaster or something somewhere.
That's right.
The scrum's just turning into a bit of a shambles here. Tremendous pressure in the front row. Milne against McDowell, Soul against Lowe. Now Armstrong gets it in finally. Again, the scrum screws around. It's in the back of the Scottish scrum. Scots make a couple of metres up towards halfway. Coming now for left wing three-quarter Ivan Tukalo. Puts it into the centre. Little waits for the All Blacks. Knocked forward by the All Blacks. Tipped into the arms of Terry Wright, but it was knocked on. Three minutes out from half-time in this first test match in the 2-match series, the second to be played at Eden Park in Auckland next Saturday. 15 points to 10, the All Blacks lead. Alex Brewster, Doug Wiley, some of the reserves, Peter Dodds in this Scottish side. There's Greg Oliver. Kenny Milne, the hooker. Coming now for Armstrong. Oh, Stanger wasn't home. Wiley, at least number 8 for Derek White did well. Here's Calder. Scots have it right near the touchline. Armstrong and after it. Sean Fitzpatrick came around offside there. Playing a bit of advantage though. No, the referee's going to go back for the offside. Sean Fitzpatrick, number 2, was the man caught by Colin Hyde. So let's have a look at this. Gavin Hastings is right on halfway. He's 5 metres in from touch. And thought for a moment he might have a kick at goal. No, he's taking a little quick one. Banged it high. Coming down in centre field, just out from the 22. Crowley again. Magnificent take by Kieran Crowley, and the Scots are over the top. A little bit of a skirmish there. Away goes Gary Wetton. Brewer is there to take the first pass. Now Richard Lowe. Away goes John Jeffrey on the end of the left from Richard Lowe. Here goes Basham. Crowley again. Basham. Brewer. All Blacks charging. Shelford leaves it behind though. Well, it all stemmed from the little tap kick taken by Gary Wetton way back near the 22. And the All Blacks have taken it to 10 metres outside the Scottish 22. Good innovative stuff, Earl Curtin.
Yes, and look at these Scots. You can't see them now in the picture because we haven't got one of them, but they're all bent over and they're feeling the pinch. I think the pace of the game's telling with them. But New Zealand are too loose in the forwards still. Their forwards are far too loose. There you see that picture there with the Scots bent over. I think they're struggling a wee bit. And Gary Wetton, I think, may have been sensing it, and that's why he took, which was a very good tactical move, that very quick kick to keep running at them.
Well, the whistle has just sounded for half-time, so there we are, the end of the first 40 minutes. And the All Blacks lead Scotland by 15 points to 10. We'll be back after this break. And short, with Ian Milne having left the field just at the half-time break with what looked to be quite a severe gash to his head. And he hasn't reappeared as yet. So it looks as though the Scots will start the second half with 14 men on the field. It's 15 to 10 as we start the second spell.
"40 minutes to play in glorious conditions at Carisbrook in Dunedin. You're watching Television New Zealand's One World of Sport live coverage of the first test between New Zealand and Scotland. Here goes Steve McDowell, finding space down the narrow side. Shrugs off Stanger. Supported by Ian Jones, the lock forward, who's having a whale of a time out there. There's Jones, there's McDowell. And straight away New Zealand into a position of attack, and another Scotsman is down here. This is John Jeffrey. He's got a gash as well.
Gary Wetton dislocated finger.
So that's the second Scotsman to be gashed in the last few minutes. Collision of heads there with Jeffrey jogging off. So what have they got? 13 on the field at the moment, is that right?
Yes,
hey, we shouldn't say that. There's a game of rugby with 13 aside. Yes, the Scots have got 13 against 15. Milne is off. Jeffrey is off. They're not replacing either. They're both off getting strapped and stitched, etc., etc. Fox. All Blacks will take advantage of this. Joe Stanley. Good stop by Scott Hastings. Bashop's got it. And here comes the big bear coming back on. Now Gary Wetton's having a dislocated finger fixed on the sideline. Goodness me, it's like a war casualty clearing station down there at the moment. Ian Milne back on. His forehead taped with his hooker John Allen. John Jeffrey is off. So it's 14 against 15 at the moment.
Down you go, guys. Come on, let's go.
Good midfield position. Basham running wide and behind. The tackler was Gavin Hastings. Here's Walter Little. Hastings not at home. Yes, he is. Awkward bounce. Try scored. Ian Jones on his debut. The boy from Carmo scores a test try in his debut. And what a great cheer he got from the crowd in the deep south. The boy from the north of New Zealand. Basham ran wide. It got awfully untidy here, didn't it?
as Gavin Hastings came up for the tackle, and then it was spun to Walter Little, and I think he realised that Hastings was up because he kicked it, but Hastings was sprinting back and misjudged the bounce of the ball. Facing the sun again, you see, that may have been the problem, and then it rolled loose, and look at Ian Jones, and he went for his first test try.
Yes, well, it was very untidy, and the Scots in the back row had done their homework. They'd really watched Basham on the run across and chased him almost into the stand. Then it was a lovely little chip over here by Walter Little, and then comes the lad. He's a good ball player, a basketballer of the past, and he dived on it. Money for a jam, you reckon? Lovely for a guy on his first test.
Fox concentrating hard here. Applause for Wetton as he comes back on the field. There's the kick. Spinning high and true. 21 points to 10.
Well, that was a wee bit sad for the Scots there. I mean, they were in disarray, really, but they had guys running on and running off, as you suggested, Keith, and it's very difficult to concentrate. You lose concentration, and against a good side like the Blacks, you just can't afford to do that if you're playing a bit test level.
So these big men like Damien Cronin have the job ahead of them now. 11 points in arrears. Wayne Shelford will be a little more satisfied at 21 points to 10.
John Jeffrey coming back onto the field. That's another one back, so restored to the full 15 now. New Zealand with a big advantage early in the second half. But the New Zealand team now looking into the sun as Fox calls for the fair catch. Three All Black tries today: Crowley, Fox and Jones. Crowley after a long break. There's Steve Gordon, just brought down as a precaution against Gary Whitten. But Gary Whitten seems okay now. He has the finger quite heavily bandaged. Quickly thrown in by Scotland. Armstrong having trouble getting a hold of it. Now it's there for Basham. Fox pops it up for Little. Almost got through the gap that time, did Walter Little. Now it's there again. Here's Fox to Stanley. Here's Terry Wright ranging right. Here's Kieran Crowley. Ball still alive as Basham keeps it there. 15 metres out from the 22. All Black forwards, but slow to get there. Well, the All Blacks winning a ruck and deciding to go again with the backs.
Yes, well, certainly the All Black forwards were very slow to get across to that ball, though, unless they were doing their bit of waiting midfield to pick up a ball and become stars in the middle of the backs.
21 points to 10, the All Blacks lead. Shelford detaches. Little has a run. Good solid defence close to the scrum by the Scots. Ball coming rather slowly. It's going to come eventually, though, I think. Now Basham. Here's Fox. Another useful little kick by Grant Fox. Gavin Hastings, he'll bang this one a long way downfield. Not quite so far this time. And the line out will be 5 metres out from the 22. There's Gavin Hastings. Had a marvellous first half. The Scots really need to score next to get back into this game. 21 points to 10. And 5 minutes into the second half. There's Gary Whitten's fingers taped together. That's the 22-metre line in Scottish territory as we look at Gary Armstrong. Tapped again by Jones. He's had a marvellous debut. Here's Derek White. The pass is not a good one, and hooker John Allen falls in front of him. In fact, it was thrown forward. Things look pretty friendly between the two hookers. I have trouble believing that, actually.
I think it was just an impression of a smile because of the mouth guard for Fitzpatrick.
Fierce competitors both. Basham bangs it again into the 22. Armstrong, at least Hastings waits, drags it down well, and it comes on the Scottish side. Gray gets it back to Chalmers, and that's good work by the Scots. There was a lot of pressure on there. Gavin Hastings did well. So did big Chris Gray.
Yeah, see the other dimension in Chris Gay's skill there. He played beautifully at halfback and flicked it back without even bending up.
Yes, I agree with you, Earl. I think he's been one of the stars of the tour so far. 7 minutes gone in the game. The All Blacks lead by 21-10.
Big leap and a deflection there by Gary Wetton. McDowell playing halfback. Appeal to the referee. This is Mike Brewer. And this time Shelford plays halfback, and that was a better pass. Well, Hospital pass on Little, scattered away, and now away goes Scott Hastings, but the whistle's gone for offside.
Yes, it was a good call by High. Referee High was absolutely spot on.
So they're a bit disappointed in the stand. So Fox is going to kick for touch. Big thump by Grant Fox. So there are some of the men working very hard in these forward struggle today. Ian Jones is through. It's come on the Scottish side. Armstrong buys trouble. Allen and Fitzpatrick meet again.
5 metres in. White ball, Kentucky side ball.
21 points to 10. Excellent game of rugby. There's Finlay Calder, who's indicated he's going to retire from international play after this tour. Ian Milne, who's really on a bit of a comeback here after missing the Five Nations series, but his 43rd international. Highest capped player on the field today, Ian Milne. Fox. Little, probing for space. 22-metre line. Basham again. Caught by Calder. McDowell. Away to Stanley. Stanley through. Kerwin! In at the corner, John Kerwin! Some serious faces in the Scottish reserves. His first real running chance since he's been back in Test rugby. He missed the two internationals on the tour to Wales and Ireland, but here he had a chance. It was a very tight little run for him right by the touchline. McDowell made the dash here. Away to Stanley. Always a good pass from Stanley. He pushed through, and look at Kerwin right on the touchline, straight as an arrow in at the corner.
Yes, it was a good build. That was a very good scrum that went across to Walter Little. He went and took the crash ball, then they moved it back here to the right. And now you see Joe Stanley, who picked it up from that ruck. And here's Kerwin. Ball on the outside arm, classical. And no way was he going to let Hastings knock him into touch. He scooted into the line, very low.
So here's the build-up to John Kerwin's 26th Test try. It was just a straight run in for him this time. But I bet he's a relieved man to get back on the scoreboard after missing those two internationals late last season against Wales and Ireland. And a very popular try scored by the Auckland winger John Kerwin. New Zealand now looking comfortable at 25-10 with Fox to attempt the conversion.
That's a good kick too, just curling away. 25 points to 10. There he is. New Zealand's greatest ever try scorer in Test rugby, and he's added one more, as Grant has been told, now 26 in his 31 Test matches. So New Zealand leading 25-10 over the Scots. We've had 11 minutes in the second half.
Craig Chalmers gets the game underway again. The All Blacks 4 tries to 2 now. Bit more control now coming from the All Black pack. Got to drag it away from the touchline, which they successfully do. Now it's popped up for Kerwin. Sends it away to Little. Bit of a line up here as Crowley comes in. Terry Wright can't get past Danger. Just on the Scott side of halfway. All Black forwards getting there now. Ball is there for Basham. Here they are, bringing it back this way. Fox has Hastings racing across. And Hastings has time to clear here. And he does, with a very powerful punt again, Gavin Hastings. Certainly not his fault that it's 25 points to 10.
As a purist, I thought Foxy might have let that ball go now. They're starting to run them round, and it's time to really put the nail in if they want to win by a comfortable score.
All Blacks stepping up the pace. Away goes Little. Leneen's tackled pretty well all day. Alan Whitten was first man there, gave it up to Shelford. Right in centre field, 15 metres out from the 22. And the referee blew the whistle there. Not exactly sure why, but however, it's going to be a scrum, and I think it's going to be All Black ball.
All Blacks ball. Steady, boys.
It is the All Black ball. John Jeffrey, the flanker, is standing off this scrum. He's gone to the blind side. Shelford might have spotted that. They're a man short in the scrum time. In fact, there might be a couple of men short because Calder's gone off it as well. Crowd not too happy with that decision. Referee said that the front rows broke up, didn't square off, and so therefore another scrum has to go down. Now Basham throws the dummy pass. Now he sends it away to Fox. Long one out to Terry Wright. Not a good pass from Grant Fox. That is rare indeed, as Armstrong takes it in. 15 metres on the Scott side of halfway. Here's Scott Hastings. Gavin Hastings. Now Tukalo gets a run. Chased by Little. Kick and chase. Terry Wright goes back the other left wing three-quarter and just scrambles it across the touchline. Well, this was good work from Terry Wright.
Yes, he may have scrambled across the touchline, but he's always there. I mean, he's the second fullback, and he's excellent at the job he does. The number of times he has saved New Zealand, that was an example.
So the Scottish side spins back onto attack. 14 minutes gone in the second half. The All Blacks have scored 4 tries to 2. They lead by 25 to 10. And they're winning a goodly supply of ball in the line-out. Jones, I think, again, reaching up there. And the clearance is made by Graham Basham.
Yes, some punters were worried about Ian Jones. They said he was too slight in scrums, etc. But New Zealand have often had a lean guy like that. We've had Sam Strawn in the past, and other players have been of his stature. And I don't think it really matters as long as his blocks look after him.
Well, a real collision there between White and Leneen. The Scots desperate to win this ruck ball. It's in good position for them, centre field. Finally, it's John Allen, the hook, who burrows through and gets it out. Gives it up to Ian Milne. The Scottish forwards driving on Ian Milne near the 22. Here's Armstrong. Across to Gavin Hastings. Scots will need this ball again if they can get it. We may just see it come left. Driving on, 15 metres out from the line. And the All Blacks won the vital maul. Basham with the big kick downfield. Here is Chalmers. Craig Chalmers got away from a few. Gave it away to Scott Hastings. Hastings 10 metres short of the line. And a chance for Stanger. They're in touch. Now there was a high tackle in there. The referee waited advantage there. He waited to see whether Stanger could make it to the corner. When he didn't do that, he's awarded a penalty for a high tackle made by an All Black.
I think he's refereed very well, Colin High. I mean, he came in under a cloud, supposedly. We all worry about things like this, New Zealand English referees, but I think he's refereed very well up till now. Clear decisions, and he's talking to them too. It's good.
Let's have a look and see if we can pick this one up. Oh, that's Stanger diving for the corner. In fact, he got into touch about 5 metres earlier than that. And the high tackle was deemed to be made by Richard Lowe on Scott Hastings. So this is Gavin Hastings now lining up this kick. Continues to be a magnificent day here at Carisbrook. Capacity House It really has been a wonderful test match, Kurt.
Oh, the movement's been tremendous. It's been a hellishing good game. You wouldn't get really a much better test match than this. This is good football. And the Scots with those big hearts are still at it. They are tremendously hard to beat.
Pushed it across in front. No goal from Gavin Hastings. So 17 minutes have gone now in the second half of this test match at Carisbrook. And the All Blacks lead by 25 to 10.
No, as Colin High was talking before, the referee, to the front rows, and when that spun round and he said the front rows broke up and he had to pull it back, they all moaned like the devil on the New Zealand front row. And he says, I thought you guys had more expertise. He was really getting into them. He's giving them the odd tease as well. It's very good.
Grant Fox kicks out. New Zealand 25 and Scotland 10. Fox with the ball again. The way the ball's bouncing, that could go anywhere. Here's Tony Stanger. This is the young man who scored 6 tries in 6 internationals. But not this time. Carried on by number 1 McDowell. Scottish players on the wrong side. Going over the ball, so it's a penalty. Back they go. No messing around. The New Zealanders are aware that the Scots are coming back at them in the last 3 or 4 minutes. So Fox will drive them back with his kick for position. So there is Fox, his 21st international today. He's on the board for 1 try in those test matches. Here's John Allen, who had 22 matches for Natal in South Africa last year. Born in Glasgow, makes the throw. Gray back to Armstrong.
But Joe, it was a good throw too, wasn't it? He throws it beautifully into the line-out, as does Allen.
So there's Gary Armstrong. Big crowd. Mostly Kiwis, of course, but a lot of Scots here today, especially in the city, Edinburgh of the South. Sean Fitzpatrick, palmed by Jones. What a game he's had. Walter Little, the other new cap. Kerwin trying the crash ball in the centre spot. And again, Richard Lowe, high ball with David Soul. So there's Mike Brewer going back to the side of the scrum. Scrum's gone down. David Soul on the near side with John Allen, the 2 club mates from the Edinburgh Accies Club, the oldest club in Scotland. Shelford off the back. Bashop hands off John Jeffrey, rolls around to the nice position. Carried on there by Alan Wetton. Oh, lovely work. Fitzpatrick waiting wide as he does so well. Back he goes when he meets Derek White. I saw a hand in there, but referee Colin High says, OK, we'll take a scrum.
Ball was available. Take the scrum. There was 70 on the deck.
The train still sits above Carisbrook. It is stopped. It's not going anywhere. I wonder if they sold the tickets to watch the game. Basham away to Fox. It's a move involving Kerwin. He's through. Wetton. Basham. Grant Fox, a high one. Into the corner. Hastings waits. Walter Little. Loose ball taken by Brewer. Here's McDowell. The Scots look a wee bit sluggish here. Fox, Kerwin again. He's got Gary Wetton waiting wide. Gary Wetton. Kerwin gets his second. He says to Gary Wetton in a gesture of, what were you doing there? And I think Gary Wetton's had the problem with that hand since he's come back onto the field. hasn't been ripping into the mauls with it, but he was waiting out in midfield. You'll see him just at the bottom of the picture here, in the winger's position. So Kerwin off to Crowley, Crowley to Gary Wetton. He's a very good ball player, and he ran the man in to the man of Bourne. A little high the pass, but who's going to quibble with when it's worth 4 points?
Yes, well, they had a good build-up before this, and we're not actually seeing it on the replay. It was Steve McBadell picked it up and started to drive forward after he collided with Fitzpatrick. It was good football driving forward. Then it came away here with Bishop flicking it away. And Kerwin accelerates. Watch him go here. Really steps it up there. And that is where the penetration came from. Again, another good pass from Crowley. And the big man gets out there. And Auckland to Auckland. She's all over.
Grant Fox, 13 points so far. Yeah, he might get to 350 points today as he bangs that beautifully from the sideline. New Zealand 31, Scotland 10. That's 2 tries in a row for big JK in the right wing. And they look a bit stunned in the Scottish camp. Ian McGeechan to the left, Derek Grant to the right.
"23 minutes gone in the second half, 17 to go then. 5 tries to 2, the All Blacks ahead. And they'll let this one go over the goal line and restart from the 22. So one gets the feeling here that the All Blacks are starting to find the form that has made them so formidable over the last 5 years or so. It's taken a wee while, but that's normally the case in the first test of a series.
Yes, but Scotland have really got to close them down now in this last sort of 17 minutes, because it's going to be very difficult for them otherwise.
Even as it stands now, 31 to 10, it's a bit of a hiding. Now Basham away to Fox. Look at the control the All Blacks have now. Gavin Hastings running all over the park chasing these kicks. Terry Wright went in, Armstrong hacks it away downfield. And this will give Crowley a chance to give it a decent heave down the touchline. Not such a good kick this time from Kieran Crowley. Grant Fox really is running Gavin Hastings all over the park here. All Blacks winning plenty of line-out ball. Shelford standing on this time. The All Blacks have the luxury of standing a player off the line-out. Players 12 metres on the All Black side of halfway. It's in there. Just a question of when they release it. There it is. Back through the legs to Basham. Fox thumps it away behind Tukalo this time. Tukalo gives it to Hastings, who's inside his 22. That's really all the Scots can do at the moment. It's clear from inside their 22.
Well, they've still got the big problem of actually winning lineouts, and until they do, you can't win a modern game of Test football.
Haven't seen a lot of the much vaunted loose trio for Scotland, Calder, Jeffrey and White.
No, because they're being locked in, because the New Zealand scrum has been very good at set play, and they haven't been able to get off. They've had to lend a hand.
Look at that for a take. Brilliant take by Jones. This man has been a real revelation today. And on the evidence of what we've seen, I think there's a long test career for Ian Jones. The All Blacks have a penalty here. Offside against Chris Gray, number 4. So it's time to chance the arm now. The All Blacks are going to set up a move here. Basham hands it up to Fitzpatrick. Basham took it away. Brewer was running wide out in the backs, but he's well taken by Sean Lanine. All Blacks take it away again through Buck Shelford, the skipper. Just working into Scottish territory. Now Fox gives Kerwin another run. Gets away from Tukalo. Well, as the game progresses, John Kerwin's confidence grows, and he decided that time to take on Ivan Tukalo. 14 minutes left in this test match. New Zealand lead by 31-10. Good take by Alan Wetton. Ball all over the place here. They're playing advantage.
It's a scrum down, All Blacks ball. Couldn't help it.
Ball lost forward by the Scots, in fact, so it's All Blacks ball. 10 metres out from the 22. Crowley, Fox, Jones and Kerwin twice have scored the tries for the All Blacks this afternoon. Ladine and Gray, 2 tries for the Scots.
There's the mark. There's the mark. Okay. There's the mark. Okay. Keep it up in the middle.
Held by Shelford. Charged down by Armstrong. He knocked it on. Playing advantage. Shelford sets it up. Back's having a good run today. Crowley came in at 100 miles an hour, but the pass was a bit high, really. There goes Steve McDowell, becoming more prominent now. Alan Wetton. Here's Basham. Ball lost forward by Graham Basham. Once again, advantage being played as Chalmers gets his kick away. And referee Colin High is going to play the line out instead of the scrum. So some of those, if you like, what do you call them, Earl, the big front row props? What's the word you have for them?
The fat wee popos.
Yeah, starting to become quite prominent, aren't they?
I'll get stick from Steve McDowell for saying something like that, particularly in my shape.
11 minutes left in the game.
That's fat wee popo, Steve. Walter Little has knocked this one on out in midfield. There's actually 12 minutes to play in the test. A lot can happen, but the score on the board does look ominous for the Scots at 31-10. So it's Gary Armstrong to put the ball in. Very dogged halfback of the Scottish team on this tour. This is Derek White. This is Armstrong. That's Jeffrey, number 6. Here's Chris Gray, wide to Hastings. Halfway, Gavin Hastings. Oh, lovely play, Gary Armstrong. Back to Derek White. That's the corner flag, thrown down in a ferocious tackle. But it was very nearly a try. Tempers starting to fray in the corner. But what a brilliant fight back that was, led by Gavin Hastings. They've got to untangle themselves from here, and it must have been very close. Here's the man that started it all from the little narrow gap, Gavin Hastings. The scrum is not a 5-metre scrum. Here it is again. Gray away to Hastings. Stanger was outside it, but he turned it back into Armstrong after handing off Terry Wright. And look for Derek White, number 8, because he gets in the game with the next pass inside. But we'll look again at the game. Back live, White has the ball under his feet. The All Black scrum is holding. Chalmers. Hastings. He got ganged up on in midfield. Penalty for Scotland. They did not allow him to release. The New Zealanders killed the ball. A penalty 5 metres out from the line. Armstrong played it quickly. Off to David Soul. He's found a gap. Well played, the Scottish captain. From the tap penalty, he's driven in for 4 points, which should be converted 25-16. Let's have a look at this. You see the players just sort of milling around. Gary Armstrong had the wit to take a quick tap straight to Sol, who found a gap on the angle, ran on the angle to the line, which is something you don't often see. Of course, he was heading for the black dot and got it down between the posts. The conversion from Gavin Hastings, it's 31-16, 31-16.
It's a lovely pop-up here. Good thinking by Sol and Armstrong. And look how he picks on the wee guys in the back line. Foxy and also Walter Little, and smashes straight through them. He targeted the right fellows and dived it under the sticks. Not often you see that happen in a test level.
So 8 minutes to play. The Scottish captain has put Scotland on the board for 16 now, 31-16.
And Graham Fox gets the game underway again. What a test match we've seen here. 8 tries scored this afternoon. 5 by the All Blacks, 3 by the Scots. And as Earl Curtin has been saying all afternoon, these fellas don't give up. And they've certainly shown that. Here it is again for Armstrong. Chalmers. Going to use it wide again. Popped up for Tukalo. Support comes in the form of Sean Leneen, it was. Referee really has got a good rapport with the players out there on the field. In an impressive refereeing display by Colin High. Fitzpatrick looks for Wenton, who gets the tap. Another chance for the All Black backs. Here's Joe Stanley. Wades through the first couple. Knocked on by the All Blacks as Shelford goes away. Again, the referee waited for advantage.
It's not widely remembered that Colin High, the referee, toured with the All Blacks in Japan in 1987. He was with the team for 10 days as part of the touring. Refereed 3 games, I think, including the first international against Japan at Osaka. Lovely little guy.
The ball wasn't there. I had to go.
David Sol not too happy about the way that scrum went down.
It's too late in the game.
Been a great battle on this side. Richard Lowe against David Sol. All Blacks were pushing. The Scots want to take it quickly. They never get a chance to. Another 10. All Blacks delaying it. Here goes Sol again. Up to White. Chris Gray, one of the try scorers. Here's John Allen. Snapped up by Cronin. Armstrong. Ian Milne just a couple of metres out. The Scots are rampant at the moment. Here's Armstrong again. Pops it up for Calder. To Chalmers. Right on the All Black goal line. I think it's coming on the All Black side of the maul, though. Bashop appears to have it at his feet. And Crowley gets a chance to bang it away downfield. Well, I don't know. The Scots look as though they're finishing a little stronger in this match. 31 points to 16. And just over 5 minutes left. Looking for Calder towards the back. Tapped up to John Jeffrey, the man with no number. Popped out for Chalmers. Beautiful hands from Craig Chalmers. 5 metres short of the line. That's desperate roughing. Which way is the hand going to go? Let's have a look.
Okay. All right, sure. Take it easy.
Still not sure which halfback's going to put the ball in. All Blacks are going to put it in. I don't think the Scots like that much.
The Scots didn't like that at all.
Basham, well taken again by Crowley. Good clearing kick. Or is it? Yes, it is. What a wonderful comeback today for Kieran Crowley. I'm sure those two fellas, John Hart and Alex Wiley, would be very happy with the performance of Kieran Crowley today. Brilliant try in the first half. John Allen. Jones, he's won so much line-out ball today. And the kick away by Baswell, and Tukalo couldn't find it. Away goes Graham Basham. Back to Gary Wetton. That was intelligent play by Basham. All Black forwards slowly getting there. He just held the ball a little too long, Gary Wetton, after a very good run by Graham Basham.
There's been a few breakouts though with the All Black side. We haven't the rest of the forwards are not getting there as quickly as normally All Black forwards do.
Once again, a huge clearing punt by Gavin Hastings. Well, we have just 2.5 minutes left in the game. John Jeffrey slightly the worse for wear. 2.5 minutes left in the Test match. The All Blacks will win, no doubt about that. They lead by 31-16.
Yes, so once All Blacks sniff a try like that, you normally find them racing in from all directions, particularly the loosies. We're not quite getting there.
2.5 minutes to play in the game. Basham, his first game in New Zealand for the All Blacks today. Joe Stanley to Kerwin in midfield. The comeback from Kerwin was a little slow to start, but he'll rated a big success, I'm sure. Looking at it over the whole game. There's Walter Little putting on the gas. But see how Scott Hastings hangs tenaciously to him. And my word, you can hear the grunts and groans across on the far side. These players of both sides are playing their hearts out here in the cause. Scotland do not know how to give in. 31-16 as the sun sets on Carisbrook. 7 days from now, the second test will be played at Eden Park in Auckland.
Yes, they know they've been in a game, Keith. You can see both sides, as you suggested then, are very tired. It's been a hard battle.
Shelford is the man leading the drive deep within this pile-up. There is McDowell breaking free. Look at that little tippy toes. Gets the big legs moving into a good set position. Carried on by Basham, who's really finished well. Penalty for Scotland. Bit of niggle here. Bit of niggle. Richard Lowe involved. That's most unlike Richard. Up they go towards halfway, the Scots. Cronin gets it from his locking partner, Gray. Good work by Cronin, lost forward. That's a penalty against Shelford. And with the tiredness has come a little bit of tension and a bit of niggle.
Well, you don't blame them.
The Scots tapping again. Here's David Soul, who always runs up very strongly and energetically. So there it is. Richard Lowe lying there. Back to Armstrong. Wide to Chalmers. To Hastings trying to probe for the gaps. Full marks to the Scottish team behind on the scoreboard. Trying to stay in the game. The penalty count in the last few minutes has gone against the All Blacks quite heavily. The touch judge has his flag out here. This is Kerry Fitzgerald, one of the world's top men, who's refereed, of course, the World Cup final, and he's going to have words with Colin High.
Okay. No, I couldn't see it because it was talking. Yeah.
So it may have been for trampling on Wayne Shelford. This is a conversation of some duration between referee and touch judge. Wayne Shelford may have been the man offended against then. It could be a penalty for New Zealand when referee Colin High gets back. No, he's just listened in and is not going to take any action. So the penalty stays for Scotland. David Soul again up to the 22. Armstrong, that's Finlay Calder. Oh, the Scots have got it again. Out to Sean Lenine, who found one gap early on but hasn't found another in this game. His father was an All Black, who would be very proud of him, no doubt, playing today. Must be very close. It is time. The game is over. It's finished at 31-16 to New Zealand, and it was a good game too. And look at the charge from the kids on the field. Down here in Carisbrook, Dunedin, every one of 30,000 people has thoroughly enjoyed this game. All Blacks the victors, but courageous in defeat with the Scottish team. And young Ian Jones became an All Black hero today with the amount of ball he won on the way to this emphatic victory.
Yes, that's where it was won. It was won at line-out time, really. And by Joe's are very tired. Kerwin, it's nice to see him back too, isn't it? And he'll get a tremendous amount of confidence out of scoring those 2 tries at this level. But really, it really came down to line-outs. But what great hearts the Scots have. By Joe's, they've got big tickers.
There's the local boy, Mike Brewer, surrounded by kids, of course. And everyone supporting this game in marvellous fashion. Very brave Scottish team. How many tries were there in the end? Were there 8?
8 tries scored.
I think we haven't had a test match with 8 tries split more or less evenly. 5-3 for a long time. We've sort of had 8 scored by New Zealand, Elgate.
No, it was good football. It was a grand game to watch. And if you have test matches like that every day, we will be more than sort of 40,000. We'll get a full house to it all next week. Good football. Great for the last test in Auckland.
So a marvellous game, 31-16. Let's go to Brendan Telfer underneath that stand there.
Well, Buck Shelford, it looks comfortable enough on the scoreboard at 31-16, but you really had a few problems in the first half.
Oh, I think a bit of a learning curve out there. You know, we haven't had a game for 7 months, and I think the guys done well to win by the margin that we did.
What did you feel at half-time? I mean, did you feel it starting to come right by the end of the first half?
Oh, yeah, I believe so. You know, going into the second half, I think we're still pretty confident, and all we had to do was start keeping possession of the 50-50 ball that we were losing, and you know, we still made a few mistakes right through the game, and there's something to work on for next week.
I mean, it probably has been some time since the All Blacks conceded 2 tries so early on in a test match. What were your feelings at that point?
Oh, well, you know, you've got to remember that rugby's played for 80 minutes and not 40, and you know, we just play it right to the end, and I think it's...
You weren't worried at that stage?
No, the team wasn't worried. Just, you know, they're basically feeding off our mistakes, and you know, we've got to eliminate our mistakes that we have been making, and they can't feed off them.
How did this Scottish team performance compare today with the performance 3 years ago in the World Cup? Were they tougher?
3 years ago was a long time ago. My memory doesn't go back that far, but they're a good side, they're a very good side, well drilled, and I think you know, we went out there with a great respect for them, and likewise they did for us, and it was a good game of football.
It did seem in the second half that once the All Black pack were able to exert a little more control, that the whole performance of the All Black team seemed to lift.
Well, I think it did. You know, when you see the opposition score a couple of tries, you know, it really gets on your wick a little bit, and sort of think it made the guys realise that you know, other teams can score tries against us, and for us to stop them takes a bigger effort.
So even though you've won by 31-16, 6 tries today, you're looking for a better performance next week at Eden Park.
Well, we're always looking to improve, aren't we?
Okay, Wayne, thank you. Best of luck for next week. And one of the most popular men under here at the stadium at Carisbrook is David Soul, the captain of the Scottish team. Well, commiserations, David, on your performance today. Nonetheless, it was a thrilling and sterling encounter, and certainly for the first 20 minutes of this match, the Scottish team really took it to the All Blacks, but you weren't seem to be able to carry on with it.
Well, I think we let them have a couple of easy scores, which was very disappointing. I was pleased in many respects. You know, we didn't give away too many penalties to let Fox kick at goal, so that was obviously encouraging from our point of view, but you know, disappointing to let them have a few points. I mean, you can't give sides easy points like that, especially at a side of this calibre, and expect to be in the game at the end of it.
I think a lot of people here would have been surprised at the way that the Scots moved the ball in the first 20 minutes of this match. We'd been led to believe that you were going to play it tight and pretty conservatively, but was that always your game plan?
Well, we've always considered that we've got good backs. It's a question of providing them with the right kind of ball to do the job, and you know, we did that from time to time, but not consistently enough for my liking.
How did this All Black team compare from previous sides?
I think they'd probably admit they're a wee bit rusty in parts, but they're extremely hard to play against. They win a lot of good ball and they move it well. They use it to the best, you know, make the best use of it as they possibly can, and they always have you under pressure whether you've got the ball or they've got the ball.
Do you think there was enough from your performance today to perhaps justify the hope that you can improve, if not beat, the All Blacks next week?
Well, I think the guys have got plenty to work on. You know, there's enough to encourage us to, and you know, to allow us to believe that we can do well against them. And it's nice to have a second crack at them within the space of a week, because obviously we can consider things, sit down and think about things, and come back with another game plan for Eden Park. But you know, I said before the game this was going to be as near an away match in New Zealand for them as possible, so they'll be playing in front of their own crowd, and it's going to be a lot harder up in Auckland for us.
Well, David Soul, thank you, and as you said, commiserations, but thanks once again for what was a sterling and most entertaining encounter here at Carisbrook this afternoon, and we'll be back with more from Carisbrook right after this break. Thanks, David. Thanks, mate. 1-16 win today. A man who's made a very triumphant return to Test match rugby, Kieran Crowley, the Taranaki fullback. Well, Kieran, I guess you probably silenced a few critics out there early on in this match today.
Yeah, I had plenty of motivation for it. You know, ever since I've been in, I've had plenty of reporters ringing up, and they've all, not in so many words, but they've all hinted that I'm too old and we're going to lose a lot in pace. And you know, it gave me a lot of motivation. I just wanted to go out there and, well, virtually stick it right up them, you know, show them. And I'm quite happy with the way things went. You know, certainly there's things to do.
So let's just talk us through that try that you scored. That when you received the ball, I think you had John Kerwin on your outside, but you decided to go on your own and kick.
Yeah, well, Gavin Hastings come up and met me. You know, so there was a big gap in behind. The second line wasn't there, so it was, chip was on, and it worked out all right.
And can you tell us exactly how you felt when you scored the try?
Oh, it felt good.
One of the best feelings you've had, I guess.
Well, it settled me down a lot, because I was worried as hell before this game, because I thought, you know, if we didn't win, didn't put a performance on the paddock, you know, the so-called experts were going to point their finger at me. And I feel that, you know, after that, it settled me down a lot.
Okay, apart from that try, how did you feel about the rest of your game?
Certainly there's things to do, you know. I was just feeling my way back into it, and, you know, and a couple of times their first try, we talked about it, and it should have been me going in there, whereas I stayed out, and so it'll come with a bit of practice. So there's definite work to do.
That's Kieran Crowley, as we said, one of the heroes of the All Blacks' 31-16 win this afternoon here at Carisbrook, and we'll be back in just a moment. In fact, I think we have Alex Wiley here with us. We were going to have a look at the highlights of the match. They'll come in just a moment. Well, Grizz Wiley, congratulations. I guess 31-16 win over the best side in Europe is never to be sneezed at. But how did you feel after the first 20 minutes of this match, though?
You know, one of the main things that happened throughout the whole game, that was missed tackles, and there was a lot of them in that first 20 minutes, and it's something we're certainly going to be looking at. And our defensive pattern have slipped up a bit.
Do you think that rustiness in the first 20 minutes can be attributed largely to the fact that the side hasn't played together for 6 months?
Oh, that certainly comes into it, but then you've got to look at the opposition too, and I mean, they did a very good job. They're a good side, and so you've got to look at the pressure they put on as well, and there was a bit of both.
I suppose one of the really pleasing aspects to come out of this Test match was the performance of both Jones and Little and Kieran Crowley, three selections which you must feel were thoroughly justified by their performances today.
It was good to see them come through, because I mean, I think there was a wee bit of criticism over one of them, and the other two, well, you know, they fitted in well, and I think it's all credit to them. And that also helped, you know, it makes it harder, the first test against an opposition that are touring. They've got those opportunities of putting things together, and although it was a fairly experienced All Black side, it still means you've got to come together and sort a few things out.
Were you surprised at the way that the Scots moved the ball, particularly in that first 20 minutes?
No, not really. I'd said beforehand, I saw them down to Southland. They moved it down there, even though it wasn't the same. It wasn't the Test side, but I expected them to move the ball in the backs.
Alex Wiley, the coach of the All Black side, giving us his thoughts on the All Blacks' 31-16 win this afternoon here at Carisbrook. Let's go back now and have a look at the highlights of today's first Test.
Quick one taken. David Soul driving up. John Jeffrey trying to drive over. He's just short. Into the backs. Lanine. The New Zealander scores against New Zealand. What a brilliant moment for him. The grandson of a Scot, the son of an All Black.
There it is. It was a lovely loop. It was well run too. Grand to see them using the ball like this, and he had no trouble. The gap was a mile wide.
Good chance here for the All Blacks, right in centre field. Picked up by Shelford. Here's Bishop. Chance here for the New Zealand. Here's Crowley. Crowley again. Oh, brilliant. Kieran Crowley. In the wilderness for 3 years. His very first match on Carisbrook in a 10-year career. Just have a look at the skill here. The little kick. And then he had the pace to get there. Hauled it in. Made the final 5 metres and scored an outstanding try. So Grant Fox adds the extra 2. And what a great start to this Test.
So there are the locks going in behind the front row. Richard Lowe is up. Bishop watching Armstrong. White off. Armstrong running towards Stanger. Hastings is through. The two fullbacks meet.
just 10 metres out, Stanger, into Chris Gray, and Gray's in. He's not a happy chappy at the moment, is Alex Wiley, but this man is. Chris Gray has scored a try, and the lock must have moved very quickly indeed to get to that position.
It was a tremendous effort by Gray to get across too. Have a look at it there. He's been the form player, I think, for the Scots on this tour.
12 minutes out from half-time. Channel back rather slowly. Bishop now to Fox. Here is the little chip kick. Now the chase is on. Still loose, and yes! Grant Fox gets his first try in Test rugby. What a moment for the birthday boy, Grant Fox. It's been a long time in coming, that first try. The near miss in Ireland last year. But he's finally got it today, and here's how it came. The ball is channeled back.
We should let Earl Curtin describe this. After all, he's picked it. He's read the book.
Go for it.
I know it's easy up here, isn't it? But what good thinking. The guy really has vision these days. And that was a marvellous birthday present to him. All his brains. Tremendous stuff, Foxy. Tremendous stuff. It had to be on. Once Hastings came over on this left-hand side, as I said before, the chip was obviously on.
Good midfield position. Bishop running wide and behind. The tackler was Gavin Hastings. Here's Walter Little. Hastings not at home. Yes, he is. Awkward bounce. Try scored. Ian Jones on his debut. The boy from Carmo scores a test try in his debut. Bishop ran wide. It got awfully untidy here, didn't it? As Gavin Hastings came up for the tackle, and then it was spun to Walter Little, and I think he realised that Hastings was up because he kicked it. But Hastings was sprinting back and misjudged the bounce of the ball. Facing the sun again, you see. That may have been the problem. And then it rolled loose, and look at Ian Jones. And he went for his first test try. There's the kick. Spinning high and true. 21 points to 10. 22-metre line. Bishop again. Caught by Calder. McDowell. Away to Stanley. Stanley through. Kerwin! In at the corner, John Kerwin!
Yes, it was a good build-up. It was a very good scrum that went across to Walter Little. He went and took the crash ball, then they moved it back here to the right. And now you see Joe Stanley, who picked it up from that ruck. And here's Kerwin. Ball on the outside arm, classical. And no way was he going to let Hastings knock him into touch. He scooted into the line, very low.
Here's McDowell. The Scots look a wee bit sluggish here. Fox, Kerwin again. He's got Gary Wetton waiting wide. Gary Wetton. Kerwin gets his second. He says to Gary Wetton in a gesture of, what were you doing there?
It came away here with Bishop flicking it away. And Kerwin accelerates. Watch him go here. Really steps it up there. And that is where the penetration came from. Again, another good pass from Crowley. And the big man gets out there. And Auckland to Auckland. She's all over.
Grant Fox, 13 points so far. New Zealand 31, Scotland 10. That's 2 tries in a row for big JK on the right wing. White has the ball under his feet. The All Black scrum is holding. Chalmers. Hastings. He got ganged up on in midfield. Penalty for Scotland. They did not allow him to release. The New Zealanders killed the ball. A penalty 5 metres out from the line. Armstrong played it quickly. Off to David Soul. He's found a gap.
It's a lovely, lovely pop-up here. Good thinking by Soul and Armstrong. And look how he picks on the wee guys in the back line. Foxy and also Walter Little, and smashes straight through them.
the conversion from Gavin Hastings. It's 31 to 16, 31 to 16.
So if you'd like a copy of today's match, you can obtain it in full from Television New Zealand Enterprises for $39.95 plus postage. Well, back here under the stand, I have with me Ian McGeechan, the coach of the Scottish team. Ian, our commiserations again with you with the fact that you weren't able to beat the All Blacks today. Were you nonetheless satisfied with this Scottish performance, given the fact that you were able to score 3 tries against the world champions?
No, I prefer to have scored 3 tries and 1. It's never easy, when you lose. Obviously, we're very disappointed that we felt we wanted to play rugby today, and we did very well with the ball in our hands, but we didn't do so well when we didn't have it, and that was the difference in the end between the two teams.
Yes, it was a very competitive match for, I guess, for the first 25 minutes of the game, but from that point on, it didn't seem as if the Scots were able to go on with it. Why was that, do you think?
Oh, I think the All Blacks got possession and more or less monopolised possession for the middle quarter of the game, which didn't allow us back in. And I think it just showed in the last 10-15 minutes again that somewhere near parity for possession obviously makes it a very different game, and in the crucial middle quarter we couldn't do that.
Do you think you in fact will be able to improve the amount of possession in the test match next week in Auckland, or is it likely to be much the same as what we saw today?
No, well, obviously we'll try and work on things. I think it's nice that you do play 2 tests against them, and we're looking forward to it. Obviously, we know we've got to improve still further, but we're being positive, and I think that's the only way that you've got to go into games like this.
There'd been a lot of talk about how the Scots were going to play this test match today, that they were going to keep it very tight, that they'd only use their backs in a defensive role. Was it in fact the game plan?
No, if you're going to beat the All Blacks, you've got to play rugby against them, and you've got to try and take them on and play, and I think that was the intention of the side.
And you must have been delighted with the way they posted those 2 early tries.
Yes, as I say, I was very pleased with the things we did on the ball. I think we were, a little bit slack at times when we didn't have the ball, and therefore caused more pressure on ourselves than we needed to.
So what will you be working on? What will you be really focusing on over the next week between now and next Saturday at Eden Park?
Well, obviously, possession is crucial, and I think in the end, in the key stages of the game, that proved a crucial element, along with Grant Fox's goal kicking, which we knew anyway.
So you'll be looking for a more disciplined performance?
Well, I like to think so. If you can give little away, you've got to score fewer points to win, and that's what the intention is. I'd like to just end up with a couple of more points than the All Blacks at the end of the game next week.
Now, Ian, time for some diplomacy. What did you think of the performance of Mr. High today?
Oh, I thought he did very well. It's always difficult coming back into an international when it's not part of a series. And,
he seemed willing. He did seem willing to allow the game to flow.
Yes, and I think both sides were trying to do that too, which I think helps. I think when you've got both sides trying to be positive, then the referee can make it that way. And I would think I would hope he would say that both sides were trying to play rugby, which I think makes a big difference to the game.
Ian McGeechan, thank you for talking to us, and we wish you all the best for next Saturday at Eden Park.
Thanks very much.
And we'll be back with more from Carisbrook in just a moment. Fox, I'm sorry we haven't got a birthday cake here with 21 candles. I know it was your birthday today, and a special bonus for you, a try. Tell us about it.
Oh, it was a bonus. It's just some good work by the forwards. The move was actually going the other way, but Bash got a little bit of untidy ball out the back, threw it my way, and things developed from there.
I think I'm right in saying that's your first try that you've scored in a test match for the All Blacks. Have you ever scored a try for the All Blacks?
One in Japan, if that counts.
I don't think it does, actually, no. Were you, in fact, happy overall with your performance, your general play and your goal kicking today?
Yeah, personally, not too bad. Goal kicking was okay. There's a little bit of a tricky wind blowing, which made things a little bit difficult. A few errors we'd like to eliminate, but all the guys are like that. We're pretty hard on ourselves, and if selected next week, there's a few things obviously we'd like to brush up on.
Well, John Kirwan, I guess you probably had a few more butterflies in your stomach today than you've had for most of the other test matches you've played for the All Blacks. How do you feel now?
I feel great. It's just nice that it's over, and it's always good to win a test. Sort of first 30 was really hard, tired, hard to get going, and test match tempo was really quick. But it's just nice to get in there and get involved.
it did seem that the further the match went, the more confidence was coming back into the running of John Kirwan.
Yeah, I guess that today for me was a challenge, and as I got into it, more ball, started to stand in tackles, I started to grow in confidence, and
I guess scoring that first try also was a big fillip for you.
Yeah, I mean, I love scoring tries, and it's just nice to dot down, and I mean, it wasn't my try, that one, but I happened to finish it off.
Well, John Kirwan, we hope we'll see a couple more from him next week at Eden Park. John Kirwan and Grant Fox talking to us here underneath the stand, and outside in one of the adjacent stands with some of the supporters and fans here at Carisbrook celebrating the All Black victory is Keith Quinn.
Well, it's not just a rugby match in the pre-match build-up. There's also an after-match, of course. So we're just going to have a look around here for some people to talk to. Here's a familiar face here, right here. Rugby Union councillor and former Maori coach, Matty Blackburn. Matty, enjoy the game today?
I did, Keith, yes, very much so.
Were you worried after 20 minutes? Everybody else seemed to be.
No, I wasn't. I dare say that it was going to take time for the New Zealand team to get their act together. They haven't played together for 6 months or so, and from that aspect there, I knew that in time they would get things starting to move, and eventually we would get some sort of ascendancy up front.
You've had a particular interest in Maori rugby over the years. You happy with the debut of Walter Little?
Oh, very much so, very much so. I might add that he's not a Maori, Keith.
Of course he is, you're quite right. Sorry about live television, this one's all about. Well, the second test next week, Matty. Can they come back, do you think?
I think they're going to find it fairly difficult to come back. The psychological aspect is going to have some sort of effect on my doubt there, and I think they're going to have to sit down over the next week out and work out some sort of ploys in which to overcome the All Blacks.
Okay, Matty Blackburn, thank you very much. Well, a little live blooper there about the Walter Little, but however, we'll just go across here. Here's a familiar figure. Excuse me, gentlemen. Mr. Thomas, former chairman of the New Zealand Rugby Football Union. What did you think of the game today?
Very exciting game. A few soft tries, one would say, but another victory. The team really, for the first time up in the year, did very well indeed. Very pleasing.
But let's talk straight now. Were you worried after 20 minutes?
No, I wasn't worried.
Oh, you weren't?
No, I wasn't, because I really believe that the forwards at that stage were applying real pressure, and they continue to do that right throughout the rest of the game.
Okay, John Spicer, the chairman of the Otago Rugby Union. Great day for Otago Rugby today.
Couldn't be better. Excellent.
And the game, did you enjoy it?
Very much indeed.
Okay, congratulations on the great day. Great weather too.
Thank you very much.
Thanks very much. This is the scene here in the Rose Lounge, underneath the Rose stand after match.